are you there, pal?
I am good. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. Pretty good.
Fantastic.
Actually. Not bad.
We have very special guest this week that I'm very excited about.
A special guest. They're all special. This one is very special.
This is a very special guest and a really great actress who was in 4 episodes of The Sopranos but made a really, really big impact. And I got to work a lot with her, which was some of my favorite stuff on the show. And she's someone I've known for actually a very long time and is a good friend. She has appeared in over 50 films and TV series, including Billions, The Upside, Stand Up Guy. Now she's on The Morning Show. She starred in and produced The Good Wife. She starred on the show ER for 6 seasons as Carol Hathaway, nominated for 10 Emmy Awards, winning 3. Just released, hot off the presses, an autobiography called Sunshine Girl, An Unexpected Life that we'll talk about in the interview. Like I said, she appeared in 4 episodes of The Sopranos as the character Julianna Skiff. Please welcome Julianna Margulies.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
hello.
Julianna. How are you?
Nice
Good to see you.
I thought I did 6 episodes of Sopranos.
Did you? 6?
Yeah.
You got it wrong then. Okay.
What made me wrong?
We're wrong a lot.
You're probably right.
No, you know, I did 1 episode you weren't in because it was your funeral.
The funeral. You showed up. That might be where we missed
That could have been it. That could have been it.
And it was all in the last, towards the end. It was all like season 6.
It was the last season. Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
And
I
always wanted to.
The show? Were you a fan of the show?
Oh my God. It weirded me out because so when David sent me, of course, not the script, I only got the sides of my character. I was never allowed to read the whole script, and asked me to do it. And I saw that my name was Julianna and that she was from upstate New York. I'm Julianna from Spring Valley, New York. And then little things he wrote in it, I was like things like he only wanted me to eat Twizzlers in the movie theater. He was very specific about that. And that's the only thing I'll ever get when I go to the movie theater. And I started getting creeped out. It's like, David, is there something I don't know? Because this is mimicking my life, except for the job. Except for being
Maybe he was following you.
Did he say anything? Did he?
No, he said it's just coincidence. He had no idea I was from Spring Valley.
And
he just left it in Julianna. So
did he name the character? Did he want you to play it? Was it written for you?
I never found that out. I'd love to know. I assume because the name was even spelled exactly how I spell my name, which is with 2 N's. So I don't know. Maybe.
I thought that might have been the case. You know, it was a very specific character you played. You know, and you really nailed it. She was, you know, not of the world that these characters are always in. Yet somehow you were able to be in that world in a kind of an easy way. It was very interesting, kind of sweet spot that you nailed with that character, I thought.
Yeah, well, you guys all made it easy, and the writing was so good. You taught me something. I actually had a chapter of it in my book, Michael, and the book was getting really long, and so the whole acting chapter kind of got cut out. But you and I were doing a scene in New Jersey in a diner late at night. I don't know if you remember this. And you had this long monologue, and it was your close up, and I was sitting opposite you, obviously, and you're talking to me. And in my head, I was like, wow, it was perfect. Like out of the gate, you just did it flawlessly. And it was maybe 2:00 in the morning, and we were all tired. And I thought, that's it, we're done. And the script supervisor came over and said, something like it was actually an if, not an of, or an and, not a but. Like it was something so small. And I sat back thinking like you were going to blow a gasket. I was like, and he has every right to. That was such a great take. And you said, I don't know if you remember this. You went, oh, thank you so much. You were absolutely right. I apologize. Can we do it again? And you were so gracious and welcoming of the one tiny little tweak of a word. And then you did it again, word for word, perfect. And it taught me great writing should always be said exactly as written. Actors, it's hard to do it if it's not great writing. But if it's great writing, all you need to do is act. And that was the beauty of being on The Sopranos, I thought.
Yeah, I felt the same thing.
And you know what the thing is? On The Sopranos, like you said, it was so specific you didn't say a word. But now when you work somewhere else, it feels good to have a little breathing room, to tag a line or to do something. With The Sopranos, no, you didn't need to. So like me, and I was kind of green when I started on the show, and it was a great lesson for me. You know what I mean? That taught me, to respect the writer exactly and to do what's on the page. I mean, and
Right.
That's kind of what I do. So, and plus, it would take an act of God to have David change a line. You can forget about that. That wasn't going to happen.
No.
Few and far between.
My first, maybe it wasn't my first day of shooting, but you and I had a scene, Michael, and in the script, it was that she was in a dress. We were having sex and I was on top, and I was in a dress, but the costumer had put me in a skirt and a shirt, and the whole set shut down, and I had no idea what was going on. And the writers were, Julianna, Mad Men, who wrote Mad Men?
Matt Weiner.
It was Matt's script. And he came running down to the set. He was like, I said a dress. And I was like, whoa, okay, guys. So it is not just lines. It is wardrobe. Everything is so specific. But in a way, there's a tremendous freedom in that, because you kind of have to just let go and trust it and know that they know what they're doing, so that you can just do what you do best, which is act.
Yeah.
But I remember that being like, wow, that's intense.
That happened often, because those decisions were thought into. They weren't just, arbitrary. They really were considered.
Well, the joke about your show on my set, because The Sopranos, I think we had been doing our show for 3 years when you guys hit the scene on The Sopranos. And the joke was, it took you guys 10 years to do six seasons.
Yeah.
Something like 10 years to do 6 seasons.
Yes.
And meanwhile, by the time I left after 6 seasons, I'd already done 158 episodes or something crazy like that. But we were always like, well, we wish we had that kind of time.
Yeah, it's certainly a luxury. What year did you start? Did you start Good Wife?
2009.
You started Good Wife in 2009. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, are you tired of answering this question I'm going to ask? When you stepped away from ER, you walked away from what, $27 million. Did you hesitate? Were you ever regretful that you did it? Or you said, I'm out of here. That's it. I want to move on. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people weighed in on that decision for you.
A lot of people. There's actually a chapter in my book all about it and why I made the decision, even though I was loath to have to write about it. But I felt like it was time for me to explain my side, because there had been so many judgments thrown at me, which mostly were, who does she think she is?
Right.
That kind of thing. So I explained in my chapter, it was a very difficult, painful decision. But the truth is, before that money was offered to me, I was going to do my 6 years. I had signed up for 6 years. I was going to fulfill that. George's character had left in my 5th year. And we had a whole thing planned with the writers that he was going to come in the 6th season and we were going to be together. And sort of that would be the end of Carol and Doug's story. So it had all been planned, and I had a year's worth of work lined up. I was going to go off and do a play for $235 a week at Lincoln Center that Robbie Bates had written the part with me in mind. It was a new play called The 10 Unknowns, and it was going to be with Jason Robards and Ethan Hawke. And after that, I was going off to Prague for 4 months to play the lead in a miniseries called The Mists of Avalon, which was a dream come true for me because I grew up in England. So my natural accent as a child was English, British. And I'm a horseback rider. I grew up riding horses. So I was going to get paid to wield swords, gallop on horses, and do my English accent, which was so opposite of the character I played on ER. And, when you play the same character for a while, you're worried that people are going to start thinking that's all you can do. And here I had a year's worth of work lined up.
Right.
And then they said, then they threw the money at me when they asked me to stay for 2 extra years, and that money came up, and it was a harrowing decision. And everyone I talked to, and literally everyone I talked to, including my boyfriend at the time, they're like, of course you take the money. You're an idiot. You will never get offered that kind of money again, and you'll never have to work again, which I thought was a strange argument because I love working. It feeds my soul.
And you were very young at the time.
I was 32.
Yeah. So
and I called my dad.
And you had some money, right? You had money from the
so
6
right.
years.
So exactly. I had money saved in the bank. I'm not a big spender. I never was. I had a mortgage paid off at 32. I was taking care of both my parents are divorced, and I was taking care of, my father's mortgage and my mother's mortgage. Like I was good. And I thought, didn't I work 6 years at a show I loved? I loved being on ER. I was so grateful, and it was a great experience. But didn't I work this hard to be able to go and do that theater for $235 and not worry a week without worrying about my rent, go off to Prague? I had no kids. I had no, I had no attachments. So I was free. And I called my dad and I said, I just, everyone's telling me to do this. And my gut is I told Robbie Bates I was going to go do this play. And I told Uli Adele I was going to go and play Morgan Le Fay. And these are parts that I've been dying to do. And my dad said, when is enough enough? Did you ever think you'd be making this much money to begin with? You're 32 years old. Your mortgage is paid off. And then he said 2 things. 1, I know a lot of rich, unhappy people. And 2, what if you say yes and you say no to the jobs that you were excited to go do, and you're waiting 2 years to get rich, and way before those 2 years are up, a bus comes and hits you. And as your soul's leaving your body and you're lying on the ground, you say, was I living my truest life? Was I doing what makes me happy? And I was like, you're absolutely right. You don't leave this planet with money in your pocket. You leave with your soul. What feeds your soul? And so and it was hard. And there was a lot of backlash, a lot. But over the years, that backlash has sort of reversed itself, which has been really nice.
Wow. Your dad sounds amazing. That's
was an amazing guy. He's passed now. He gave me great advice. And then when I called him, because I was crying because some talk show, The View, was on, and they were just ripping me to shreds. Who does she think she is? Barbara Walters said, she's no spring chicken. She thinks she's going to be a big movie star, right? They were just ripping me. Joy Behar going. I mean, we were just, and I was on the treadmill at the gym, and I was like, I just started to, I was freaked out that anyone, I grew up in a family, we didn't talk about money. It was gauche. All of it was so upsetting to me. And I was never someone out in the public eye like that. I didn't dance on tape. I would lead a quiet life. So the fact that I was fodder for gossip was just mortifying. I called my dad and I was crying and I said, I want to die. They're all making fun of me. And he said, because you turned down the American dream, honey. And so your decision gets thrown back in their face. What would they do? And because you're doing something they would never do, they hate you for it. It actually has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. But, it took time to grow a thicker skin over that. But he was right. And it's okay. Listen, I understand why people think it's absurd. I get it. I'm a public figure. You have every right to rip me to shreds. I get it. Now, of course, then it was sort of like, I felt like I was really being noble in the acting profession by, doing what fed me as an actor, and keeping my promises to playwrights and directors who I'd already made a commitment to. So it was a great lesson. And in the end, I've never, to answer your other question, Steve, I have never regretted it once, not for a moment. I wouldn't be where I am now. I certainly wouldn't have met my husband. And I was homesick for New York. I'm a New Yorker. I wanted to come home.
Yeah.
And I'm also glad I I got to spend time with my father, and I wouldn't have had that time, you know, and then I wouldn't have had the years that we had together because he died suddenly. And I was so grateful that I had been able to be with him. So it all worked out for me. And I think other people, it allowed them to sort of say, I've had a lot of people say to me, because of your decision, I realized I was going to go with my heart, not my bank account. And for me, that's all I need to hear. You know, it's like, what makes you happy?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure your dad was very proud of you.
He was.
Your dad was very proud.
His friends all
Sure he
said, "What is your daughter nuts?" He was.
Yeah, and you proved everybody wrong anyway, because you've gone on to do exactly what you wanted to do, and really good material and good work in movies, film, and theater, and that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I got luck. I know there's a lot of luck involved in that, but I do think if you're really honest with yourself, the work's going to find you.
Yeah, there's luck, but you're also really, really good at what you do, Julianna. I don't say that just because as flattery. No, it's the truth. And the scenes we did together on the show are some of my favorites, just because they were for Christopher's character. By that point, you know, one of the great things about the show was the characters evolved on the show. They really did. I mean, and Christopher was like a kid when the show really started, and the stakes just kept getting higher and higher for him. And by the time our stuff was there, it was like his big relationship kind of went really up in flames. You know, his drug use was out of control. He was really kind of disillusioned with everything, yet he had all these dreams and aspirations. And it was like they had a very real relationship, yet it was so doomed from the beginning. Like,
oh my God.
It just was.
It was so fun.
And it was very honest. There was something really kind of honest about those two people and their need for each other at that point in time. It was very, very cool and just interesting stuff to play, you know. And working with you was always just a gift.
It was dreamy. I have to say, it was a really dreamy job for me. I felt so lucky being on that set. Yeah. I mean,
did you know Jim? Did you know Jim before you worked with him?
Just a little bit, just from like, you know, when you're New York actors, like independent films we used to do in like basements and stuff before anyone knew us, or staged readings, stuff like that. So I knew him a little bit. He could not have been more welcoming and gracious. And he was so interesting when I left his character and they wrote that Julianna Skiff and Christopher get together, Jim got pissy. And because I came to work one day, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Don't talk to me." I didn't write it. I didn't do it. He goes, "Whatever." But yeah, he was, it was really lovely to work with him. At the time I was single and had no children. And I'll never forget Jim on set saying to me, "I feel like you should have babies. I'll donate." I was like, I'm good. He goes, "No, I think you should have my kid. Nothing sexual, I'll just donate."
That's funny. That is very funny. You know, I loved your character when she dealt with Tony right from the beginning. She wasn't the least bit intimidated. You know, you're trying to talk him into, you know, selling this for a Jamba Juice, and Tony kept refusing you. But I mean, you met him for a drink at the Bada Bing. You knew what he had in mind. It was the character she was not intimidated by this big, giant mob guy at all. You know,
I think the way I saw her when she first saw him, I mean, obviously she had heard all about Tony, right? But he was hot to her. His power was hot. But I think ultimately, you know, she was an addict, right? And you kind of see it the very first time he and I had this scene on a couch where we sort of have a makeout session, and then he gets upset because he realizes he wasn't supposed to be cheating on Carmela. But and in that moment, it wasn't written, and I took the glass because I hadn't drunk any of the champagne he had poured because she's an addict.
Right.
And when he walked out, I took it and downed it. And that was sort of the impetus, I think, because I was only meant to do 2 episodes. And I think that was sort of a light a lightning bolt moment for them about Christopher and Julianna. So that was a fun character.
Tell me about your book. What's the title? It's The Sunshine Girl: An Unexpected Life. Explain to me what the title means, if you don't mind.
Let me explain. So when I was born, my mother nicknamed me Sunshine Girl. I was the third daughter, and I never cried. She said I just brought sunshine into every room. And the reason I titled the book that was, as a child, I wore that nickname as a badge of honor. But because I lived such a crazy, chaotic life where my parents divorced when I was a year old. When I was 2, we moved to France, then we moved to England, then we moved back to New York, then we moved back to England, then I went to high school in New Hampshire, then I moved back to England. Like it was constant. Growing up with the name Sunshine Girl, I felt like I had to make everyone feel good and not talk about my own feelings, which was absolute anxiety over the constant moves, and being pulled away from my father all the time. My mother had a lot of boyfriends. She was incredibly beautiful, and it was just a revolving door of boyfriends. And I felt like I had to navigate very rocky terrain with a smile. And I realized as I got older, that was doing me a disservice in my relationships. And so I talk about that in the book. I talk about this whole childhood that I had, what formed me, what shaped me, and how I got to the life I'm now in, which is the subtitle, An Unexpected Life. I can't believe this is my life. I am so amazed that if you really do the hard work, and I talk about how, like, we're actors, so I find it so luxurious. I get to discover who I am through my work all the time. And the only thing I could ever be was an actress, because I was always putting on someone else's shoes or clothes. Like I was either the American girl going to school in England, not having the right outfit. Okay, I was always watching how to act, how to be, what accent to have. And then I'd suddenly be the girl back in New York and realize that my Laura Ashley dress and my little sandals, okay, I'm 6, but I get it. I need sneakers and jeans and a t-shirt. I have to change my accent. Okay, now we're back in England. Shit, I don't own a skirt. Got to get back. So I was always putting on someone else's shoes and persona. And I was much more comfortable being someone else than being myself, because myself never fit into where I was supposed to be. So there really was nothing else I could have done, I think. I mean, I wanted to do something else that I thought was more noble than acting. I really thought I was going to be a lawyer, but that didn't work out. I got to play one on TV instead. So that's what the book is about.
Well, how did you start acting? Like, was it in high school or school before, or was it after you finished like high school?
So it was. So I went to, and all of this is in the book, but I went to Rudolf Steiner schools, Waldorf education, which are all over the world. That was the one consistency I did have. Like when I was living in Paris, I went to the Rue de Lyceum, and then I went to the Michael Hall School in Sussex, and then I went to the Green Meadows School in New York, and back to the Michael Hall School. So wherever I went to school, there was at least the same kind of curriculum. In that curriculum, so both my parents, my mother's still alive, but they both are anthroposophists, which Rudolf Steiner, who created these schools, I'm going to try and do this very quickly. His philosophy was anthroposophy, which just means the knowledge of man. Both my parents were anthroposophists, even though they weren't together. My father introduced my mother to it. And in that ideology, there's no television. They don't want TV in the house. So I grew up without a television in the house, even though my father was an ad man. My dad wrote commercials. He wrote jingles. He wrote plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. Like he was huge in the advertising world. I didn't really know because I never saw any of his stuff until I got to college. So anyway, because of all that, we always had to act. We had to make up entertainment for ourselves. So we were writing plays and acting, but that was like, to me, that was sort of what we did for fun because we didn't have any entertainment. And every school year you had to play a character in a school play. There was always productions going on. So it was very artistic, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. My grandmother was one of the first women to graduate from NYU Law School in 1924. And I wanted to follow her footsteps. I wanted to do something good for pushing the female agenda forward. She was such a trailblazer. And I thought maybe I could do that. But so then when I went to college, I had a very heavy academic schedule, and I thought, well, I'll take a theater third just to alleviate some of the anxiety from all this, academic life. And I got cast in a play my freshman year, a David Rabe play called In the Boom Boom Room. Mm-hmm. And it was a senior play, but they needed underclassmen to play. I was a go-go dancer in a cage. I had 4 lines. That was it. But that rehearsal process, it changed my entire view of feeling like I belonged, because here were a bunch of people just there saying words, figuring out I could cry for the character, but it didn't have to be me. All the things, all the bottled up anxiety that I had my whole life, I got to let it go. And the first night we performed it, the lights came up, and it was just one of those moments where I went, I'm home. This is where I belong. There was no turning back. And once I knew that, because I felt so at home on that stage for the first time in my life, in anything, except maybe horseback riding, because I did have a really passionate relationship with horses. They brought me such calm. But after that, I just went to every single class I could get my hands on, read every play, saw every play. I would take the train. I went to Sarah Lawrence College. I would take the train. I was so broke, but you could get to New York City and you could go to TKTS, and whatever they had for standing room, it was like you could see a play standing up in the back for $5.
Right.
And I fell in love with theater, and there was no turning back for me after that.
And the first professional job was what?
My very first professional job where I got my SAG card. Oh, well, my first professional job was regional theater. I did a lot of regional theater. I actually did a John Robin Bates play in Sarasota, Florida. But my first screen job where I got my SAG card, I'm so sorry. I got my equity card at Yale Rep. In a play called Fefu and Her Friends. And after Yale Rep, I started doing more. Then I had a reputation for the, regional theater girl, which is fine for a while, but it's hard to live in those shitty motel rooms getting paid shit.
Not easy.
While, oh my God. But then I got my SAG card in a Steven Seagal movie called Out for Justice. Oh. I played Rika, the hooker with a heart of gold.
Was that is that the one shot in Brooklyn? Is that the one?
It was shot in Brooklyn. Of course, we filmed it in LA. Jerry Orbach, William Forsythe, Gina Gershon.
Yeah.
God, there was a whole bunch. Yeah, but that was my first film experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that? How was working with Steven Seagal?
There's a chapter about that in my book called Out for Justice. He's nuts. And
I heard that. That's what I heard.
He's nuts. But I learned a fast lesson. The first time I was told to go to his hotel room for a work session, I knew exactly his number. I got it. So I just stayed away from him and really hung out with there were great character actors in that movie. William Forsythe. I just followed wherever the actors went. I followed. I never was alone on the set with him. I made sure I wanted that SAG card. For me, it was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to stay safe and stay far away. But he's disgusting.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I remember I met you right around that time. That's when we first met, when I was doing the play with Lily and Ron, and you had told me that story. I remember when all that went down. That was before. That was before ER, right?
That was before
when we met. When I was doing that Avenue Boys play, You were
That was 6 months before ER.
Yeah, that's when we first met.
Happy Boys. Jesus, that was a tough play.
That was a while ago, man.
Julianna, besides my character on the show, who was your favorite?
What question is that?
Impossible to
What do you
pick.
mean? What kind of question?
Put her on the spot, man.
Everybody. There was not. What was so great about The Sopranos was that every character was interesting. You know how some shows, you watch some shows and you're like, oh, they're going with that character who I don't really care about, and I'll just go up and I'll go take my pee break now. But with The Sopranos, every single character you cared about. I cared about, Edie Falco's character. I loved sitting through the therapy sessions. All I wanted to see was what Christopher was going to, the strip clubs. I loved all of it. You guys just sitting around shooting the shit. There wasn't a character. Joey Pants. Come on. There wasn't a character I didn't, want to watch. That was the brilliance of the casting and the brilliance of the writing, I think. But so no, Steve, I'm not going to fall for that one. But you know what? You guys had a really great transportation department. I don't know. Do you know this story? Where Christopher and Julianna are going to meet. I'm bringing you heroin, and we're going to get high in your car. And it was out in New Jersey in some parking lot. And so I get to set, and the captain, the transpo captain, is literally, he's sweating and freaked out because David Chase wanted my character to drive a Mini Cooper for some reason.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay. And I go, what's wrong? And he goes, I don't know what to tell you. The rental is a stick shift, and I'm so fucked. And I said, why? And he goes, you drive stick? And I was like, I learned to drive in New Hampshire. If you didn't drive stick, you couldn't drive. It's all ice and hills. He picked me up, hugged me. And then the next day, because I had, like a 3-banger, nothing trailer. I'm a guest star. The next day, I get to set and I go to the 3-banger and they go, no, you're over here. And I have this gorgeous bus. And I go, isn't this second month? And they're like, you have no idea. Just you knowing how to drive stick saved our lives.
Wow.
So I became their favorite. And I would, that scene you and I had, Michael.
Yeah.
Where I have to vomit in the bucket for high, and I crawl in my underwear when I have to vomit in a bucket. They overheard me say I was really nervous about it because I had never done any kind of, it wasn't a nude scene, but it was in my bra and panties, and I had never done anything like that. And so they had heard me say I was nervous about it, and when I got to my bus, there was a dirty martini waiting for me. And I was like, wait, is that for me? And they're like, we heard you were nervous. Maybe a couple sips and you'll be okay. And I've never done that in my life. Only had a few sips of that dirty martini. And then I was like, oh, I'm fine. It's just a bra and panties. It doesn't matter. They were the sweetest guys
That's
ever.
very cool.
I'm going to give full disclosure. I don't know how to drive a stick.
Neither do
I don't know how to drive a stick. I couldn't drive it.
This is why they were so afraid, because I said, why are you so freaked out that I can drive stick? And they said, when they started the show, some of you guys didn't even know how to drive.
Me. Yeah.
Michael.
Was it you?
Yes. Yes.
So they were always panicked about the vehicles because they had to be easy to drive. And yeah, so it was you that didn't know how. You had to get your license.
I did, yeah. I smashed the car on the first day of work. I was driving in a scene with Jim, and I smashed the car with Jim in the car. It was during a take. It was horrible. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was terrible. I thought they were going to fire me.
PTSD's the rest of your life.
On the pilot. I wanted to ask you on Good Wife. You were a producer. Was that developed for you, the show?
No, I became a producer in the third year that I was on the show.
Year. Okay.
Yeah. And it was because I said to them, look, this isn't a vanity title. I literally am keeping the balls up in the air, and every actor comes to me to solve the problem. So you've got to give me a producer title and pay me And they did.
Yeah.
Because when you're that show, I loved that show so much, but because of my nature, which is from my freaking nickname, Sunshine Girl, to make sure everyone's okay and all right. I was always making, like, guest stars would come on. I just wanted them to feel welcome. You do your best work when you feel safe and when everyone's happy on set.
100%.
And so even if the boom operator I could tell if she was, upset, I'd be like, hold on a minute, what's wrong? How can I I couldn't just ignore what was going on in the room and just do my work. I had to just take care of everyone. So I figured if I'm going to be that stressed all the time, that they should give me a producer title. And it really did help them too, because I was their ears and eyes on the set. So I could then, write up my notes at the end of the day and say, this is working, this isn't working, so-and-so is having a hard time, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, in the end, it was a favor for all of us.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I know you've been guest starring on great shows. Billions is one of my favorite shows. The Morning Show. Do you want to do another series?
If the right one came along and it was only 8 to 10 episodes per season, I would absolutely love to. And it's shot in New York because my kid goes to school here and my husband works here, and I don't want to uproot my life. Doing 22, the first 2 years of The Good Wife, we did 23 episodes, 1 hour episodes. So I did 156 in total in 7 years of The Good Wife. And you just can't survive it. The prologue of my book, the whole reason this whole book came about was my very last day of shooting that show. I came home and when I woke up at 3 a.m, I had the chicken pox. Literally the day I wrapped that show. And I was so sick for 3 weeks, just fever. It was awful. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't, do anything. And I started writing just like things, because I had to get rid of this character, because when you inhabit a character for that, so it's 10 months out of the year. And I was always behind, in my personal life. Like, I wouldn't go to the doctor until my 2-month hiatus is the only time I ever went to the dentist, all that stuff, because my son and my husband would come first. Like, I never came first. And I was just always behind, and you can't live that way. You can't breathe that way. I look back at it and I wonder how I did it. And it's not just showing up for work. It's learning lines when you get home. Your brain is never turning off of who that character is. I mean, it was 9-page monologues I'd have. I did 9 pages of dialogue a day, sometimes with 4-page summations in court. And you can't learn those lines until the lines you're doing that day are out of your head, So it just was, I was on this treadmill and spinning every plate, and I just at the end crashed. Yeah. So I will never put myself in that situation again. I see how the girls, it's been a ball doing the morning show because I'm a guest star, and it's not all on my shoulders. But Jen and Reese only work 3 days a week. And I was like, what? You do? Like that? So the writers know, okay, we have them this day, this day, and this day. And then they write the other actors for the other days. And no one's stressed. No one's too tired. Like, those girls said, that's it. Reese lives in Nashville.
That's their deal. That's has to be there. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And I thought, it's doable, and I've got 5 years left of my kid being home, he's 13. I don't want to miss them. There's going to be plenty of time when he's not going to need me around, but I just don't want to, he was 13 months old when I did the pilot of The Good Wife.
Wow.
And his first sentence was, "Mama tired." Mama tired.
And Julianna, you were working 12, 14-hour days?
Yeah, mostly 14-hour days. Sure, because I have to be there, hair and makeup before everyone else gets there, and then if I wasn't working on A unit, I was on B unit, because in the network world, they give you 8 business days to shoot 1 hour episodes, but no one can shoot a 1 hour episode in 8 days, not a good one. And the writing was so spectacular on that show. So we would do 10 business days, but we would start the next. So we'd have A and B units, and I'd be running back from A unit to B unit.
They'd overlap.
They'd overlap
Whoa.
all the time.
Whoa.
So I'm not complaining. I know how lucky I am, but the work, this is how I looked at it, because people were like, how are you doing this? I remember once I was being interviewed for CBS This Morning, and I was showing her around the set, and then she saw me do my summation, and then she was interviewing me, and she was like, you must have a photographic memory. How do you do that? And I was like, your brain's a muscle. And the only way I can do this is I look at myself as an Olympian. What would an Olympian do for the Olympics? They're just training all the time, right? Nonstop for that one shot in the Olympics. And that's how I had to think all the time. Like, nope, I can't come home and have a glass of wine because I've got to be sharp as a tack the next day. I've got to be able to sleep well, and I've got to learn my lines, and I've got to be there for the kid. And I've got, you're just going all the time, to the point where once I let it all go, of course I got sick. The second I didn't have to show up in the morning, my body went, and you're done.
Right. Your body.
But I don't think you have to get that sick in order to be on a great show and do what you love to do. And now with streaming and all the opportunities, I see that no one should work that hard.
Yeah.
So yes, a long way to answer your question, Steve. I would love to do another series.
It was a great answer. But like you said, well, that's what happened to Jim also. I mean, Jim worked more than anyone else, and he had a tough time. For 9 months, he was doing just that, working 16-hour days, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Sometimes in the beginning, yeah.
It was tough,
always in the beginning, it's more.
It's more.
Yeah.
And then they get it down. But sometimes it was really hard for him, dealing with that. And also the immense amount of fame that kind of came his way. And he's so big and like such a big presence and recognizable. Like he kind of, I don't know. He couldn't really hide much.
He couldn't disappear. Yeah, he couldn't disappear.
He couldn't disappear. And that's so funny, because a friend of mine was saying to me, they're like, wait, you ride the subway and you go grocery shopping and do all those things, walk all over the city and whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I'm small. Like I go in and out and no one knows I'm around. I go everywhere. And of course I ride the subway. How else do you get around New York City unless you want to sit in traffic, or I walk? But it's easy for me to disappear in this city. Yeah. For Jim, of course not. He was 6'3", and a big presence, and it's just impossible. But for me, I know how to be anonymous in the city, and I love it. But yeah, it's a lot. It's also when you're number one on a call sheet, and I think, although I thought Jim had beautiful set etiquette, I really did. He's a guy like George Clooney, who I can say honestly, both of them, they're all about the crew. Yeah. I remember a couple times when Jimmy came late, and he would apologize to everybody, send us all. He was always a stand-up guy. Yeah. Always. And it's important to have good set etiquette. Yeah.
He was always very considerate of the crew and always stood up for them, and was, sushi every Friday night was sushi for everybody.
I know.
And then he would have a massage. A girl on Fridays, was it Fridays? Give us a massage. Yeah, he had
for the crew. Yeah.
For the crew and the cast.
At the very end, the show had wrapped. I was on the was Christopher's funeral the last episode of the?
It was almost. I think it might have been
almost last. So that was my last episode, because at your funeral I bump into Tony.
Right.
I didn't have much there. I don't even think I had any lines, maybe one or two, but I remember the whole show wrapped, and I get this gift, which I guess he had given everyone. I couldn't believe he thought of me with an engraved watch. Love, Jimmy. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So generous.
Yeah.
Really generous.
He had a big heart. Julianna, I could not thank you enough for joining us. Your
really.
book, Sunshine Girl, An Unexpected Life. Buy it. Amazon, anywhere you got your books. And I really enjoy talking to you a real lot. I always enjoy, I bump into you every once in a while. It's always good to see you. Thank you very much.
Great seeing you. Thank you.
Both of you guys. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
You too.
Excellent.
There you go.
Excellent interview.
Great, Julianna Margulies. Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you a quick story about Steven Seagal. You know, HBO, Time Warner, you know, they gave me The Plane. I had to go do a charity thing for them. It was days after the Soprano, the rap party, after the finale. And they gave me The Plane to go up to Buffalo. And the flight attendant was telling the story that there was on the ceiling all black. It was all black on the ceiling of
What do you
the
mean?
plane.
Stains.
And he couldn't figure out what it was. Because I asked him, I said, you know, who's been on the plane? Any assholes? You know me. I'm saying, who was an asshole? Who's a good guy? So he says, so I'm seeing all this black stains on the ceiling, and it was Steven Seagal's hair dye. Every time he got up, the dye from his hair, and he brought big dogs on the plane. He was rude and he was nasty. I mean, it's a guy with a terrible reputation. I mean, I never met him, but this reminded me of that story.
Yeah. Did she say she wrote about it in the book? Did she say it's in the stories in the book? Yeah.
There's a chapter out for justice. So
it's a
just incredible talking to her. She's a terrific actress, a terrific person,
and a great lady.
Let's take a break and let's get into the episode.
Okay.
How was your shows?
Fantastic.
You had your shows recently. How'd they turn out?
My shows were fantastic. We had a great turnout. Great crowds at the Mercury Lounge in New York.
Now you're the lead singer, right? You sing all the songs? Do you crowd surf? Do you go into the crowd and they carry over their head like that?
We actually did that quite a few times this show. It was very exciting.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they take you all the way to the back and they bring you
all the way to the
front.
back and back to the front like a baby in his mother's arms.
That's fucking fantastic.
Pretty amazing, yeah.
Zopa. So Zopa's back after 8 years and you made a big splash.
Yeah, we made a big splash. We're getting a lot of attention, and we're going to be. We debuted a new song. It's the first new song we've written. We wrote it this summer. It's the first song we've written in a number of years, and the crowd kind of went crazy for it.
That's fantastic.
So we're going to get in the studio very quickly and make a single.
Have a fucking hit record and you could stop doing this fucking podcast.
I'll do anything to stop doing this podcast. I'll even get, that's why I said, let's get in the studio right away. I could stop acting too.
There you go. Fuck it.
I'm getting sick of that too.
Become a fucking rock star and that's the end of that. Yeah. And here we go. Our book is out. Pre-order at Amazon.com. Barnes & Noble.
It's not out. It's only for pre-orders. It's out November 2nd. For pre-order
November 2nd. The Definitive Oral History. It's 528 pages. Definitive Oral History of the Sopranos.
The pre-orders are already kind of through the roof.
Thousands and thousands.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
So you want to jump on this seriously. 98% of the cast speaks. Behind the scenes stories, way more stuff than you heard on the podcast. Really a lot of fun. You have to have it on your shelf if you are a Soprano fan. Now, before we get started, I cut myself shaving.
Where? I don't even see it.
For all of you fucking people that give a shit about this.
If you didn't even mention it, no one would. It's like a spec.
No, I actually shave myself. I know they probably think I have like a band of people behind the curtain. Hair, makeup, people shaving me, doing my fucking toenails. I shave myself, and yes, this 64-year-old fat guy cut himself. So there's your fucking question, all right? I want to get that out of the way.
I think you're really going over the deep end, my friend. I mean,
that happened a long time ago.
You really lost it. You're losing the plot here.
First of all,
I can't see it. See this glass? There's very little liquid. Now, is that glass almost empty or was it full?
It's fucking empty. Completely empty.
It used to be full, though.
Yeah, it used to be.
I don't know.
Here we are, talking Sopranos. Great episode, Johnny Cakes. Season 6, episode 8, brother. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Yeah, there's only 12 episodes in season 6. This is the 73rd episode of The Sopranos. We only made
86.
86. Johnny Cakes debuted on April 30th, 2000. Now, Johnny Cakes, when we were talking about this story idea, I remember mentioning the guy in the diner is making Johnny Cakes, and then that turned into his nickname.
So you named this episode.
I didn't name the episode, but I remember saying he makes him Johnny Cakes, and then I'm not sure who said maybe that should be his nickname. But it was written by Diane Frolov and Andy Schneider. That's 2 out of the 4 they did, and directed by Tim Van Patten. You know, the episode, I think part of the reason why it's called Johnny Cakes, you know, is the episode a lot is about manhood in a way, you know, and like heroism. Like you see the difference between, you know, AJ trying to be a man, Vito, you know, what it means to be a man for him, you know, what it means in the old world where he left and where he's coming from now. Jim being this, you know, kind of doing this act of heroism that really impresses him, you know, and Tony Soprano on the fence between being a good man, being a hero, being a selfish guy. A lot of these themes play out in here, it seems.
Well, you know, the thing about Jim, you know, Johnny Cakes, he is a gay man, very comfortable in his own skin. He's a man's man, and he's gay.
Yeah, a tough
he's a
guy
man's man, and he's gay.
And a heroic guy, and a brave guy. You know?
A tough guy, and that goes to show you, you know. Here's a man's man. He has a daughter. He, you know, I assume he was married to a woman at one point, and then he went with his feelings and is very comfortable in this town where we're doing his thing. Very much so. As Vito is not. And we'll talk about that later. Soprano bedroom. Tony and Carmela are having sex.
Now, it looks like Tony just had a blue chew.
And it looks like Tony's going to smother poor Carmela. I know what my wife feels like now. Holy Christ almighty. Holy shit, you could barely see Carmela's head. He smothered her. I guess that's what I must look like from behind also.
Carmela has iron lungs, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Holy fucking moly.
Yeah.
You know, I've never done a sex scene. And we've talked about this before. You've done numerous. What is that like? Are you uncomfortable? I mean, what is that like?
It's really uncomfortable. You know, especially like on The Sopranos, because the whole crew are your friends. Now you're going to take off your clothes. And, you know, I was almost very close to naked in the one in D-Girl, you know. Maybe completely. I don't remember. And that was bizarre.
And do you, let me ask you, it's choreographed what you're going to do. You don't just go at it.
It's mostly, you know, because you got to do it for the camera, you know, and you have to make sure that the camera sees what it's supposed to see and doesn't see what it's not supposed to see. And you have to also make sure that the person you're working with is comfortable with everything you're going to do. And you say, am I okay if I'm going to put my hand here, if I'm going to hold you here like this? Are you good with that? And you have to, you know, make sure everybody knows what's going to happen and everybody's comfortable with it. It's very important because
Now, do you wear a sock over your salami?
You know, some people do. Yeah. I mean, I need like a bag.
A whole, like a hefty bag.
No.
You got that big a cock.
No, I'm kidding. You wear like a contraption made out of, it was made out of like, I forget what it, you know, it's like it depends on the scene, but there's these kind of almost skin colored jockstrappy things.
And it's, if you get aroused, is that embarrassing or normal? I'm
not going to go there.
Okay. Okay, I'm just asking. I'm being. Listen, I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm
but
curious. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm curious, and I'm sure there's a lot of people are curious how this works. I've only kissed a few women on camera. I've never had a sex scene. Thank God for the American public. They don't need to see me naked.
Well, I think you're selling yourself short there.
No. People out there are very curious about how that goes down.
You know, there's you can Google like movie sex scenes where the people hated each other, because there's a lot of that.
Uh-huh.
That I haven't done.
Patrick Swayze and from Dirty Dancing. I don't think they got along.
Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey?
Yeah, I don't think they got along.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really hard if you really despise somebody and had to be intimate that way. Or maybe really exciting. I don't know. You know?
It would be hard. I mean, it would be hard. Especially you don't get along with each other. But
pardon the pun.
Yep. Luckily, that hasn't happened, and I don't see that happening in the future. Vito's room at the bed and breakfast. Vito's listening to the radio. He's reading a men's health magazine.
He's reading Ab Attack, which is a movie that focuses on abdominal sculpting.
A movie?
No. Sorry, not a
magazine.
Movie. Magazine. Is he? Which I guess he's planning on doing.
Maybe he lost the weight. Maybe that's what he's doing. He goes outside. He hears and sees fire trucks. The Soprano bedroom. Tony and Carmela, they're in bed after sex. She says, it's nice having this again. And he says, well, it's supposed to be better than nice. He can't just leave it alone, right?
He can't leave it alone. And and she says, we're blessed. You know, she's very loving.
Yeah.
Since his illness.
She helped him get through this. She's waiting on him hand and foot. She's really helped him mentally and physically. There's AJ lets these guys out the door. There's 3 Hispanic guys, I guess. Your amigos with the baggy pants, hope you kept them away from the silver. Gives him a little racist dig there. He says they're musicians. They saw an ad for the drums. You're selling your drums. I need cash. I don't play them anymore. Now, they were a gift from your dad. At the least you could do is ask your dad, I don't play the drums. I know you gave me these. Can I sell them?
Yeah, but he's he's a
spoiled, entitled fuck.
Entitled kid, and he just figures, and then he throws it at them. Well, you made me get this crappy job, so I need money, which means,
And she says, what about community college? I can't register. He gets very frustrated till the second semester. Don't I deserve some kind of life?
Yeah, okay. Spoiled guy. It's funny how when they're talking and then they hear the drums and it sounds really good. And they're like, wow, has he been practicing? It turns out it's not even him, He's a bit, he wants to be a man, but he's a kid.
And don't forget, he's 20 years old now.
Yeah.
20 fucking years old. You're not that much of a baby anymore. I mean, come on. You might be in college, but you're a fucking man now,
Yeah.
Responsibility. He acts like a high school kid.
He acts like a high school kid, 100%. And he's very, he knows how to push their buttons and make them feel guilty for his, frustration and his boredom, whatever he's going through.
You know what's amazing? Here's this big, powerful mob guy, Tony Soprano. And when it comes to the kids, he just melts.
He does, yeah. And I think part of that is...
doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, and he's almost doesn't want to do the work of having to kind of teach them what's right and wrong. He just wants to he thinks he's doing the right thing by kind of giving in and caving, but it's not the case. Obviously.
And luckily, Meadow grew up on her own. There was a problem there. And she, turned out to be a fine young lady there. This kid's a fuck up.
Yeah.
House on Fire, Vito watches.
It's very interesting how they do stuff like that because it really looks very realistic. And they don't just set a house on fire. They have pipes that are almost like you'd see in like a gas grill or something like that, only they're really big. And they control them. They can control how high, how low they go. I've done a couple of, I did this pilot with Edie and Lilo Brancato and Richard Dean Anderson called Firehouse. And I had to we had to kind of crawl through fireman gear through this burning house, which was really kind of terrifying. And then in Last Man Standing, they set this house on fire and I have to run out of it and then get shot up. But the moment when they call action, it was a few beats when I had to stay in the house when all that shit started, going up. All those pipes get turned on and man, it's
scary.
It's pretty scary. And I've seen some stunts where guys, they put this protective gel. They actually get set on fire, man. And that is terrifying.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity. But there's been a lot of instances in movies and TV where it's an old house and they do set it on fire.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be sending people in there though.
Yeah, well, no, of course. I'm just saying, but there is some.
They do it like this so they can have stunt people or actors go in safely.
It looks fantastic. Very real.
Yeah.
Vito's watching the house on fire. Jim arrives on his Harley, kind of like Superman, saves the child.
He's like a total rock star there.
Everybody claps. I mean, he knows the woman. He's telling her, don't worry, I'll get her. Don't worry, Sarah. It's a small town. And Vito's kind of in awe. He likes what he sees.
He's impressed. I mean, I think he's it's not just like a sexual attraction. I think he's just impressed by this guy's bravery, by the fact
How could you not be?
Wow. This is heroic. This is brave. This is a good man. This is and it makes him, I think, fall even harder for this guy, obviously.
They're on the Stugatz too. Tony and AJ Fish on the
And here, this is an interesting cut because you're cutting from, like what I said, we're talking about manhood. You're cutting from this image of heroism, cut to, here's the guy in his boat. This is, the result of a lot of suffering and death and stealing and stuff like that. And just making contrasts here.
On this big yacht, he's drinking beers with his son, a bonding thing, which I never drank with my father. I don't know.
As a kid, I don't think I really did.
I never drank with my father. As a kid or even as an adult, I just didn't have that kind of relationship with him,
Oh, as I got older, we definitely did.
He's incarcerated. He says, so Uncle June, what are we going to do about him? Almost sounding kind of like a wise guy in a way.
What are we going to do?
We going to do about it? He says he's incarcerated for the rest of his unnatural life, so fuck him. He's a walking corpse. Yeah, but Dad, what he did to you, nothing for you to worry about. A little bonding. He burps back. AJ's drinking a few beers.
Yeah, and we see later on, there's this bonding, this kind of man-to-man kind of thing, and we see later on that this is not the case, right?
Correct. George the Butcher.
George the Butcher is a restaurant in Patterson on Washington Street. It's still there, apparently. Bert Gervasi, I guess, is Carlo's brother, which I never really knew was established, but they have the same last name.
I guess so, yeah. I guess. That's Artie Pasquale. He's David Chase's cousin in real life.
In real life, that's right. And he's with Patsy Parisi. They're getting paid off of at the outdoor, fruit stand.
They're shaking people down. They're
right, but it's interesting because it's an old-fashioned kind of fruit and vegetable stand, and then they're in an old-fashioned poultry store, which barely exists anymore.
Yeah.
So you got the old world paying them off, cut to the new world. Great Seattle coffee experience. That's the contrast they're making there, obviously. And they're trying to shake down the corporate world, which doesn't.
No, but it's still going on. I mean, you're still shaking down, especially they're shaking down fellow Italians. This is like the old days. I mean, this is like the 20s and the 30s, the Black Hand. You're shaking down merchants from the neighborhood.
Yeah,
people that you grew up with.
They also own the building.
Yeah, and so in reality, Patsy tells the Seattle's best. It's a Starbucks type place. The Northward Merchants Protective Cooperative. He tells the manager. He says, we don't have money here. That has to go through corporate. And and he basically says, we're going to hurt an employee or you, or somebody's going to throw rocks through the window if you don't pay us. And Tony, who they do the chicken store, and Tony owns the building, but Tony's going to get some of this kickback from Patsy.
Right. Exactly.
He's friends with them, but he's going to get a piece of this.
Yeah, they get it both ways, right? That's what that means.
He knows them. They probably went to school with them.
And they get free chicken and free eggs and whatever they want.
They're shaking down they're shaking these guys down. I mean, I guess it still exists today. I assume so.
Yeah, and they probably said, well, we could get someone else in here who's going to pay more rent. I don't know, whatever the hell they say. It's a bad neighborhood now. We got to look out for you, whatever the hell they do. You know that.
This guy, the coffee house manager, Jason Ward Williams, does a very nice job.
Really good. Yeah, I liked what he did a lot.
They say, the merchants have found you really should have some round-the-clock security. Isn't that what the police are for?
Their hands are full. And then he says, I can't authorize... I don't have any, what does he say, discretionary funds. It's got to go through corporate in Seattle. And it's reminiscent of the scene, I think it was 46 Long in season 1, when Paulie and Pussy go into the Starbucks or whatever, and they steal the machine.
And they talk about espresso, that we've been drinking this, it should have been ours. And he says, how do you think corporate would feel if they threw a brick through a window? He says they got like 10,000 stores. I don't think they would feel anything. And he tells them the truth. Look, the last they count every coffee bean. If it don't add up, I'll be gone, and there'll just be another guy. And very ironically, Patsy says it's
over for the
little guy.
It's a cool scene, actually. Making a good point, and it's like they can't really. Their old world ways do not apply here. They just don't.
I guess less and less, right? I mean, in the old days, I would assume if you owned a restaurant in Manhattan, you had to pay.
Well, you had to use their linen service,
and they go on the private sanitation.
You maybe have to order their booze. You got to maybe get their meat, stuff like that. And
some of that may go on. Some of that may still go on. Yeah. But no longer, I think, do you have to pay these big-time restaurateurs, celebrity chefs. I don't think that goes on. I mean, like it used to.
No,
you didn't. I think you needed permission in the old days to open up, or you had to kind of be with someone,
especially in certain areas. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so they come down and they go. They start. What they do? They start hanging out at the bar. Start ingratiating themselves. Then, ask you for a loan, whatever it is, and then if you don't start coming with money, they start fights, cause problems, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly.
All kinds of shit. Infest the place with mice, do crazy shit. Yeah, crazy shit like that. Roaches or mice. Yeah. They disrupt your business. That. Yeah. Well, I didn't invent it.
They infest it with mice.
Get a bunch of mice, throw a bunch of mice through the fucking mail slot.
You wouldn't like that job.
Oh, I'm gone. Listen, if I saw a mouse, I'm gone. I just move right out of the fucking house. Gone. See ya.
Really? You'd move out of the house?
Gone.
You've never had a mouse in your house?
I had a mouse years ago. I had my brother-in-law come over and kill it.
Wow.
And a rat, forget it. I'm just pack up every fucking thing and go.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. But snakes don't bother me. Bees don't bother me.
So if you had a snake in the house, it wouldn't freak
It doesn't bother me that much. I'm not disgusted, but I'm disgusted by the mice and the rats. I'm not disgusted by, even a roach. All right. Fuck, And you like them all.
No, I don't. I don't like mice, man, and roaches and stuff. No.
Vito walks downstairs at the bed and breakfast. Betty, good morning. He goes by Vince. Vince, good morning. How's your book coming? You're always welcome to join the others. And they're just sitting there. They're talking about dishwashers.
Dishwashers.
Very mundane, but that's what a lot of people do. Very mundane, small talk.
Who
sit
does
there.
That?
A lot of people. You don't know people that just
You
like
already.
small
I just
talk?
asked you a question. You're getting defensive.
Well, because what do you mean? Who? You want me to give you a list of fucking names?
Who you're referring to? The general public or what?
Yeah. Do you see the general public? You meet it. You see a guy down the block. Oh, it's a hot one today. You know, like talking about the weather. Oh, it's a hot one. What the fuck?
What do you want him to do?
What?
Talk about the size of his and shape of his, penis?
What is? What is my response supposed to
Hi,
be?
Steve.
That it's a hot one. I know it's a hot one.
I have a hot dog shaped prick, Steve. Did you know that? I mean, what do you want people to do?
This is Monday. They're talking about dishwashers. They're sitting there drinking coffee. A slow pace of life. Maybe it's
really
nice.
slow. Really.
Maybe it's nice. It's not for me.
So what's the point? What do you think the point they're making with that scene? That this is like such a different, completely world than the one we just saw with the shakedowns and the
This is a nice place to live. People say hello. They talk to each other.
It's like a paradise to him.
It's very
he can
nice.
be himself, or kind of. He's about to be himself.
Yeah, absolutely. But
People are kind to each other. That's the difference, it seems. And where he came from in the past, it was not the case, obviously.
People on this podcast aren't nice to each other. I'll tell you that.
Which people are you talking
The exit street, Vito walks down the street.
It's like Main Street, USA.
Nice, quaint town. Very nice.
Happy. He's got a smile on his face. He's enjoying the simple life. It's an interesting cut because we're going from a street to the other street, the pork store exterior, and Chris eyeing these two young girls who are walking down the street. Silvio and Tony are there. I love that. Jason Masucci saw Vito at Jenny Craig in Tampa. It's like Bigfoot or Elvis now. There's sightings of him.
and at a Jenny Craig, no
Jenny Craig. Right. I think I saw him at Jenny Craig, but it turns out it wasn't him.
Now Christopher says if he comes back, we should have Carlo do it. And, Christopher was the guy. I'm going to cut off his pre-show deal. I feed it to him. Suddenly, Christopher has a different view of things. He says, I have my own headaches, the feds. Christopher no longer wants to kill Vito for this.
Yeah, I guess he's thinking because Carlo took over his business. Carlo's working with the guys that were under him, so this would make Carlo kind of seem like rectifying the situation in there, in terms
He's
of
got feds up.
Something.
Chris says, I got feds up my ass for business, okay, but for political correctness, forget it. Christopher's got a different view on things. Hey, let bygones be bygones. Let him do what he wants. Live free or die, Vito.
I think part of that is kind of sensible. He's just saying Phil is taking it in a completely different direction. It's very personal. It's very, he wants, he's out for, blood and vengeance. But, the other guys are like, so what? You know what? If he never comes back, are we going to go, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like,
then Tony says, let me tell you something, 2 months after the shooting, as far as Snatch was concerned, I didn't even have a heart on when I woke up. Now the healing process, he's got a baguette in his pants 24/7. A baguette is big.
A baguette is big, and it is. It's a French bread.
Yes, a French bread. Tony and here comes Julianna Margulies, Julianna Skiff, played by the incredible Julianna Margulies, who's our guest.
Yeah, she, I think right from for her first scene, she's just nails this.
Oh, absolutely.
Right from the beginning.
She walks right over to him, big balls. You got 3 gangsters sitting outside the pork store. She knows exactly who and what they do. Comes over. They go inside. You own the building at 217 Franklin, around the corner. Jamba Juice Company wants to purchase it. Now, do you know who's a big owner of Jamba Juice?
No.
Kenny G was an early investor, the sax player.
Oh, really? Smart guy. Smart business guy.
Kenny G was a big on the ground floor of Jamba.
Now, are you a fan of Kenny G?
I saw him years ago. Not really now. that smooth jazz thing, not so much anymore.
Not for me.
But he's very good at what he does.
He's good. Smooth jazz is not my bag.
It's not my thing, but that doesn't mean he's not good. He's.
I'm not. I would never say if he's good or not good. It's just obviously he knows how to play his instrument. What we're saying is, do you like it? Because music.
Well, there was a bunch of them. There was Boney James was another guy. After Kenny G came a bunch of these smooth jazz. Dave Koz, smooth jazz sax players.
It's not my thing.
No, it's not my thing. But I did.
We had a great sax player sit in with Zopa Saturday night. Ron Blake from the Saturday Night Live Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
Did 3 songs with us, and he killed it. I mean, and he really brought a lot. And we only had maybe 15 minutes of rehearsal before the show. We were supposed to do a practice, but we couldn't get together for various reasons. But maybe 10, 15 minutes before the show, he came on stage in the middle of the show.
Just knocked him dead.
He was
maybe he needs to be a permanent member of Zopa.
Well, he's got his, steady. He's a real jazz dude who's played with some heavyweights.
Well, that was nice of him to come on stage.
It was great. We had a good time, and
That was great.
It was a surprise. Nobody knew he was coming, and he came out and killed it. It was great.
So it's currently occupied by Caputo Live Poultry, which Tony owns the building. They offer him $315,000. And he says, you ever buy eggs from Caputo? The eggs taste 10 times better than any of the ones you get in the supermarket. It'll be a big loss for the neighborhood. Does he really mean that at this point? Or
it's interesting.
Or is he just jacking up the price? He's a smart businessman.
I think he wants to believe it. He wants to think, this is, again, going back to that theme of, manhood, heroism and stuff like that. He wants to think he's a good guy who cares about the neighborhood. Like you said, it's like they're friends. You know what I mean? They
shaking them down.
So he wants to imagine himself as some honorable neighborhood guy who protects, this is the North Ward, protects the old world. But we will see very shortly that maybe that's not the case. He talks about, and she kind of says, well, he's talking about how the North Ward is so great. She says, don't you live in North Cornwall?
Yeah. But then he subtly hits on her. I'm interested, but not to sell. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, I'm interested, but not to sell.
So I'm interested in you. He hits on her. Now, chicken places. Have you ever been in a live chicken place?
Yeah, not for a long time.
My friend used to own one that I grew up at, Richie LaPera.
Where?
Really, really good cat.
Brooklyn. My mother-in-law goes to one in Brooklyn that's still there.
And
is it the same one? It's out by Coney Island.
I don't think so. No, this was in kind of like Bay Ridge, Sunset Park, I believe. And his father owned it, and they used to, pick up the rabbits and slice the rabbits' throats and the blood. And I think after a while it got to him, man. You're fucking killing things all day long. I mean, I think it got to him after a while.
You're killing things that don't want to be killed.
It's fucking horrible. Horrible. And it smells disgusting. And like you said, there's very few left. Horrible.
Yeah, now you just don't see it. They do it, but you don't see it.
Yeah.
Interesting line, she says. Left home at 17. She lived up in, what was it, Binghamton or something? She had a low tolerance for boredom. Which is reminiscent of Christopher's line, the regularness of life, which is, I think, relates directly to addiction.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we don't know that about her yet.
No, but I think that's what that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying we don't know that yet. That comes, but not even in this episode.
Yeah.
So. Vito arrives at the diner. He says, I've been dreaming about those Johnny cakes, a little double entendre. Think he's been dreaming about Johnny. Jim, I saw you at the fire last night. You got balls, my friend. Back where I come from, you joined the fire department to steal shit from people's bedroom.
Again, he's on, the fact that you don't get paid for that. This is a volunteer fire department. This guy puts his life on the line and is, because he believes it's an honorable thing to do. Completely opposite of the sense of honor that goes on in the mob and the world that Vito.
I just donated $100 to a volunteer fire department. There's a hair cutter on Blue Bloods, Drew, and he's a volunteer. Drew, yeah. You know Drew.
He's a great guy.
He volunteers, and I just sent in a little something to help them out. He says, "How's the books coming? How's the book coming? It's fucking slow today." And he talks about Graziano, Otto, the guy sitting down. Graziano fought Sugar Ray in '52. Maybe you should interview me. So he's getting all confused, Vito. He's writing about Marciano, Graziano.
The guy who plays Otto, that's Noah Keane, who passed away about 2 years ago. He did some of the old Twilight Zones. He was a guest star on a couple of the old Twilight Zones. He was in the movie Battle for the Planet of the Apes. He was on $6 Million Man, the original Hawaii Five-0 and stuff. Yeah, he was in.
Well, David must have loved it. David was a big Twilight
Zone fan, yes.
As was Matt Weiner, right? So one thing about Rocky Marciano, for the people that don't know, he was undefeated, arguably the greatest heavyweight, right, ever. He had a lot of money, and he didn't trust people with the money. And he was frugal, and he had bank accounts. When he died in a plane crash, tragically, he had bank accounts under different names in a lot of different banks, and they never recovered the money.
Wow.
And his family hired private eyes, and for years and years and years tried to recover the money.
And they didn't.
They did not.
He didn't leave instructions.
I don't know if he had it. No. I don't know if he had him in safe deposit boxes.
How old was he when he died?
Andy, I think in his late 30s, 40.
But he had already retired.
Yes. Very tragically. And to this day, there's money somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're going to hide the money, you got to tell somebody. Right. But then I guess who gives a fuck? They go, who cares? I'm dead. Not my problem.
Yeah, he says, you can't talk about one without talking about the other, which is not really true necessarily.
Vito's just...
They were different. They boxed at different weights. Marciano was a heavyweight, and Graziano was, a middleweight?
Yeah, Graziano was a great character. He even afterwards, he did a lot of commercials. He was a great New York character.
That's the uncle of our friend Norina Barbella, actually.
Oh, is it? That's the real name, Barbella.
Norina's father and Rocky were brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And Paul Newman played him in the great movie, Somebody Up There.
I love that movie.
Great movie. Great movie. He was 45, Rocky Marciano, when he died.
Shit, wow.
So there's money out there somewhere. Vito's complimenting Jim. Jim touches Vito's hand. It must be lonely being a writer. Not so subtle little...
Not subtle at all.
No.
No.
Vito doesn't pull back.
There's really no way to misinterpret that. You have to be kind of really stupid to misinterpret that. No?
And Vito doesn't pull back. So,
no.
He gets it loud and clear. Tony walks down the street.
Mrs.
Conti, a very funny scene.
Yeah.
Funny, crazy scene.
Yeah. Sylvia Cowder was the name of the actress who plays
she's done a ton of stuff.
She's complaining about the music. She asks about Junior. How's he doing?
She tells I asked them to turn it down. They tell me to go fuck myself. That's what makes me laugh, the way it just rolls off her tongue.
Yeah, like she says it all day long.
It makes me to go fuck myself. She's part of the old neighborhood. How's Junior? Tell him I said hello. Maybe she dated Junior or went to school with Junior.
Yeah.
At one point. Part of
kind of sounds like that a little bit.
Yeah. They're at Caputo. Tony arrives at the upholstery store, gives him the old chicken and the egg. You want to weigh in?
What do you think came first?
How the fuck do I know? I mean, how do I know? This is a trick question, obviously. You could argue about it all day long.
I guess so, yeah.
All day long until the end of time. Now, do you have some theory about this? Is that where we're going here? You got a chicken and egg theory?
I think the egg came first.
Where did it come from?
I think the egg came from maybe an egg, the first chicken egg, right? The first egg that contained a chicken came from a slightly different bird and was a mutation of that bird. How's that? That's my theory.
That's possible, I guess. And somehow a chicken was born. So like a pigeon.
Like a game hen or something or some capon, whatever those things are.
So you're saying like a pigeon fucked a capon?
Not necessarily. It could have been two of the same thing, two of the same species, but there was some kind of genetic mutation thing that happened and gave birth.
So then there's one chicken.
Yeah.
So how did there become more chickens? How did there become more eggs?
The genetic material of that mutated bird, which is now a chicken, dominated in the next round of breeding.
So you put some thought into this.
Just now I did.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I don't know what to say. I'll just leave it there. I'm not going to argue with you. I don't really know. So,
fans, Talking Soprano fans, we are running our chicken or the egg contest. We invite you to participate. Send your best chicken or the egg theory to talkingsopranos.com. The best chicken or egg theory will win a special shout out from Steve and I on
There you go. All right. The same stupid joke. How's business? He said, believe it or not, it's better than ever. Glad to hear it. I'll have to raise your ranty jokes. He also gets stuff to go.
But you see, he says, he leads him a little bit. He says, how's business? Met some meds?
Yeah. Trying to convince himself
maybe it's time to move on. Right.
Yeah. At Blockbuster, AJ and Matt are working. They watched The Hunted. Behind the Counter, AJ.
The Hunted, directed by William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist, A French Connection, and Cruising. Benicio del Toro, Tommy Lee Jones. Jim did something with William Friedkin. I think it was 12 Angry Men. Was that the one he did with Friedkin?
I'm not sure.
Andy, if you could check that. He did something with William Friedkin. I think it was like either a remake or a TV thing of 12 Angry Men.
Wasn't that Sidney Lumet, 12 Angry Men?
The original, but then Jim did something with Friedkin. I think it might have been a remake of that.
AJ, see, this is the way you hold your knife with your blade. This is just two fucking imbeciles.
Talking shit. And this actor who plays Matt, Cameron Boyd, passed away in 2019. He had a medical condition, kind of seizure. Terrible. Yeah, he was a Disney star in the TV series Jessie.
Oh, that's terrible.
Died very young, yeah.
You protect the forearm. He's talking fucking stupid. There's a mother with the kid trying to ring out. They're cursing. She said, do you mind? They mentioned Hernan, who's played by Vincent Piazza. And he says he was a dick in high school.
Yeah, Jim did 12 Angry Men with George, directed by Friedkin with Jack Lemmon and George C. Scott. There you go.
He said that was Hernan. He was such a dick in high school, and AJ sticks up. And while he was a senior, they always shit on the underclassmen. Blockbuster. Well, you didn't like Blockbuster, you told me, right?
No.
You liked the mom and pop video stores.
Yeah, because they usually had a better selection of more like indie movies, foreign movies, art stuff.
I think there's a on Amazon. I believe it is. There's a documentary, The Last Blockbuster. There's one left in the country.
Yeah.
And I watched it. One left in the entire country, Blockbuster video.
Wow. And there used to be tons all over the place.
All over the place. Everywhere. Melfi's office. The kid spends every night in some fucking club in New York, sleeps till noon, puts in a couple hours of Blockbuster, and that's it. My dad would have kicked his lazy ass out of the house. She said, really? And he says, you're fixated on him. When he told her that the father cut off Sergio's finger, she didn't think much of the father after that. I don't blame her.
Right.
It's hard for her to believe that he had any...
Exactly. So she's challenging his notion of his father being, doing good parenting, right?
I should have never told you that. She said, can you empathize with AJ at that age? I had some problems at school, but I didn't vegetate. These are different times. Young people are bombarded with so much information, so much input of every kind. So shall I say 26 is the new 21.
And this was 15 years ago. It's way more now. social media. This is before social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is before smartphones.
I know. But I got to tell you something. When I was a little older, 22, 23, he's 20, I worked a shitty job. I delivered pizza.
Right, but those were different times. That's what
I mean, I delivered pizza. I was a bouncer. I went out every single fucking night after work, every night. And woke up at noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, had breakfast.
So did I.
Went to work, did it all over again.
We all did it, yeah. I mean, she's saying, can you empathize? But what would that mean, empathize? So she just allow it and not challenge him, you know?
Well, she said, can you think about your times? Maybe it's not so bad. Did you do stuff like this? What did you do at that age? I mean, what? He wasn't an altar boy. I mean, do you think about it? I mean, now even us, I tell my daughters all the time, nothing good happens past, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., nothing fucking good happens after that. In the meantime,
I used to say that about 4 a.m.
I used to be out till 5 and 6 and 7
when we were hanging out and during the Sopranos, that was my thing. Nothing good happens after 4 a.m. That's when it gets really ugly. Yeah. When you start going to after hours,
it's really earlier than that.
It was always there was always something off kilter at that.
I mean, I used to go out at 9 a.m. in Vegas.
In Vegas, you could.
When I got off work at 9 a.m., stay out sometimes till 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Pitch black, these bars were. They were packed with people that worked all night. Yeah. You were in the daytime. It was crazy.
Still, we went to some places in the morning. It was packed. You would never know the hour.
I hated coming home in the daylight. Ugh.
So did I.
Nothing worse.
The worst, you come out of an after-hours club, and now it's like 8 o'clock. And I remember there was one in 38th Street. It was a gambling club or something. They had like blackjack. It was some, I think, Russian mob place. It was very dodgy. And you come out. I came out, it must have been 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Everyone's going to work. It's Midtown between 5th and 6th. And you're like, it just makes you feel like such a
horrible
degenerate. You see everybody freshly showered, cologne.
And then the summer is worse. When it's hot and sweaty, it's worse. This one place I used to hang out at, Rubes, it was called. Rubes. And
that's a great name.
Rubes. And when you would get out, if you didn't have sunglasses,
they
had the ones like from the eye doctor, those cardboard ones.
Now that's good customer service.
And it had the logo on it.
The logo,
and
that's hilarious.
To you, and you get fucking walking around with those like crazy 3D glasses. Yeah, fucking crazy. Dr. Kupferberg's office, how's it going with patients? She's talking about her father.
Yeah, interesting cut, because she said, well, 25 is the new 20, or whatever. What did she say? 26 is the new 21. He goes, I'm 46. Does that mean I'm 35? And then she says, my father isn't a young man, and she's talking about his...
Going with the patient Soprano, talking about my father. Why don't you just admit he's a gangster? He's gunned down, and you're on a tabloid level. He's very interested in this world, Elliot.
He's totally fascinated by it.
Yeah, fascinated. He calls Junior Buster. Nothing's changed, okay? He uses to really engage on this trauma the uncle caused, and I think it's just a matter of time before he totally decompensates.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
That's like a mental breakdown.
Okay.
Kind of like what you were doing at the beginning of this episode.
I had a mental breakdown fucking 20 years ago. I've never been the same.
You were decompensating today in the beginning with your cut.
What do you mean?
Face. The cut really sent you into
people say, what's your eyebrow?
But so what? What do you care if they talk about your cut on your face? Why does that bother you?
Because
why do you let it get to you?
Because I think it's ignorant that you would give a fuck about something like that.
But
why would you? I don't mention that about people. I don't see a guy with a wonky fucking eye and then ask him about it. It is what it is.
But that guy's not on. That guy's not on TV or YouTube or whatever we're on.
So what does it matter if they were?
It doesn't.
The guy had
matter.
a fucking snaggletooth. I'm not going to say what's up with that guy's tooth. The fuck?
Yeah.
He knows.
Well, you may if you had a snaggletooth. You might say
no. Soprano bedroom. Tony and Carmela look out the window. They see AJ giving drums to the guys. Now, is this Super Dave's group of guys? Remember Super Dave? Super Dave took care of the parking for The Sopranos and a bunch of other productions in New York City. He's a wonderful guy.
Who are you talking about? The guys who bought the drums?
Yeah.
Dave was in charge of the parking for the sets, locking down the sets and making sure we had
all over New York City.
Oh, maybe.
He's a well-known, famous guy, and I wonder if these are some of Dave's and his guys as extras.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be. I like Dave a lot.
So do I. Wonderful guy.
One thing, he brings up the concept of omerta, and she says, this is not omerta. He's thinking Tony's refusal to talk about Junior is like omerta, and she says, no, it's not omerta. She's saying it's more like denial.
Yeah.
Two very different concepts.
Two different things. And does omerta even exist anymore?
Theoretically.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Does it even exist? Or do some mob guys say, if I get caught, I'm just going to roll over?
I think there's some guys who would not do that. It's such a big thing to them not to do that.
I think less and less.
Less and less, and they're in the minority, I would say.
Yeah.
But they do exist.
AJ and his friends arrive at the club.
It's Vincent Piazza playing Hernan. He was in Boardwalk Empire, Jersey Boys. I played his older brother in the movie The Wannabe, directed by Nick Sando, which he starred in alongside Patricia Arquette, which is a really good movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a good mob movie. Check it out.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Vinny did a nice job.
Based on a true story, Joe Saravo, who passed away not long ago, a good friend of ours and a great actor, plays John Gotti in the movie, and in my opinion, the best John Gotti on film.
And Dominic Lombardozzi is great in the movie.
Is really good. Dominic's a really good actor.
Yeah,
and,
really
I like everything he does.
Absolutely. He is the
favorites,
the real deal, that kid.
And a very good dude and a smart guy and a great actor.
Very, very good. AJ party at the clubs. I think this is Lotus, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it?
Lotus was on 14th Street.
Yeah.
Next door, the Apple store. I don't know if it took it over.
Oh, over there. That's right.
There.
Near Son Cubano.
Near Son Cubano, one of our favorite places of all time.
One of our old haunts.
What a fucking spot that was.
That's
great place. Yeah. Great place. Son Cubano, Lotus was like next door. Weston Beef is where the Apple store is now. Weston Beef was on that property and Apple store there. But Robert Eiler used to hang in his day at Lotus.
Yeah.
He was a club guy. Robert knew everybody.
I hated those kind of places.
I know, but Robert was a younger guy, and he loved it, and he was the fucking big swinging dick in New York City in the nightclub scene. He
was.
AJ parties at the club. Let's go.
That's Emily Wickersham playing Rhiannon's.
Who's going to be on our show shortly.
Is that the first time we see her in the scene here? She was also on NCIS.
Yes, she's coming up as a guest, as is Tim Daly. Nikki Dinky. BB is played by Nikki Dinky. Now, that's a different kind of name.
Which character is that?
I think she's the one giving AJ the massage.
The one who says, when you take ecstasy, do your feet get cold? And he says, I have special socks.
Yeah.
Just
very
hilarious.
Funny.
He gets the check. They bang you out at these clubs. That's the whole purpose of those clubs, to bang you out. They had 2 bottles of Cristal and a bottle of Grey Goose, and it's $1,500 plus $315
$18.90, and then you got the little person comes over to shake them down, hustle them for another $200 for the table.
$2,000.
A lot of money, man, for a night out.
That's a lot.
No food. It's bullshit. Table service is a bullshit sucker's bet.
It's a sucker's bet, 100%. And it was also, in my opinion, the bottle service was the downfall of nightlife in New York.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. And then
because the cool thing about New York was always in a lot of clubs, even the ones that were kind of exclusive, like clubs like Limelight or Studio 54 or Nell's or places where they had a door policy. They liked letting in a blend of people. It wasn't just people who had money. It wasn't just people who were going to spend a lot of money. They liked interesting characters. They liked young people. They liked artists. They liked, interesting looking people, sexy people. Then it became, how can we make the most money? Bottle service, table service. You had to have money, period. Unless you were, they wanted, they would let young, good looking women in for free to attract the guys who had
course,
credit cards.
but now, when I worked in the clubs, I mean, it's a long time ago, there was none of that. But
but that ruined New York nightlife in my opinion.
Listen, it wasn't just New York. I mean, they're also in Vegas. Vegas, they'll kill you. You go into a club, you're a fucking dead man. It costs you $5,000. Another thing, what a lot of guys do, they sit there, they buy the bottles, and then girls come by, and bottle a glass of champagne, and the girls stop for a minute, talk, get a glass of champagne, and scram. So these suckers are just buying these girls drinks all night, thinking it's going to attract. And, it might, but,
They also, those
much.
clubs never, ever play music that I like to listen to. That was the other problem.
But another thing is, it's a $40 bottle of Grey Goose, and they charge you $400.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, a bottle of Dom, it costs you $1.60, $1.75 in the
They're
store.
going to charge you how much? $850?
$1.50? Oh yeah, forget it. I mean, it's just insanity. And then it's service charge, tip on top. So you just fuck. Now this is 15 years ago. The tab was $18.90.
That's right. That would be $3,000.
It's a big check, but AJ picks it up. He sucks it up.
He's on the spot. He's on the spot. Yeah.
Well, it's his turn. You got to do it, right? I mean, you can't just.
Right. He's getting him into the clubs and he's introducing him to the girls.
At some point, and they're also using the Soprano name here. They're telling Hernan is using Soprano. He's using
people,
the name to impress people, and his father's a wise guy. He's a wise guy. Who knows what he's saying? So Hernan's using AJ for what is good for Hernan.
Sure.
The Lou Costello Memorial, one of the greatest characters ever. Lou Costello, one of my favorites. Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, me too.
I just watched Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Abbott and Costello meets the Invisible Man.
Great.
Just great. And
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein's my favorite.
And the shorts were great.
Yeah. The TV show.
Mr. Fields.
Great.
Go see my brother-in-law. It's so fucking
Stinky
great.
was a great character.
Yeah. It was fantastic. Well, then he became a Three Stooge.
Stinky was a Three Stooge? Which one did he become?
Stinky.
Who did he become?
Joe Besser. He became he took over for Curly. He was one of those.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Maybe not Joe Besser, but he was one of those. Yeah. Yeah. Tony meets with Phil. Vito, do we know where he's at? It's none of your business. He works for me, not you. He's married to my cousin. He dishonored me personally. Phil got a hot on here for him. No pun intended. Maria's a victim. Her children are victims. I got to be frank. In your Father's Day, we won't be having this conversation.
Well, he says I swallowed my pride with Tony B, killing my brother. And Phil, I guess, is kind of feeling now twice disrespected by Tony. Like he's not letting Phil, have his vengeance.
I swallowed my pride when you're murdering fuck of a cousin, killed my brother. Don't think I'm going to do it again. He's pissed, Phil. And he says to Tony, though, your father would have handled this. You're not handling it the right way.
Right, which may be true.
AJ's friend's apartment. BB, Nikki Dinky, gives AJ a massage. I saw you on TV when your grandfather shot your dad, and now we're like friends. That's so weird. So what's going to happen to him? That's what I'm saying. Hernan is given, you know what I mean? All these kids are talking about him. They're looking up to AJ. He's feeling some self-importance here, kind of based on his father.
Right. Again,
Maybe-
again, that theme of, manhood and him, he wants to be a man and he wants to have respect as a man, and he's
And Nikki Dinky
feeling like the son again, yeah.
Nikki Dinky became a chef, a well-known chef on the Food Network.
Oh, really?
She won a big contest there or something. We don't talk about that with outsiders. I'll probably have to do something. You're so intense. She said that girls are liking this. They're getting excited. AJ and the mob. It's exciting to them. They're young girls. One is 18. One is 15. One is,
Yeah. To them, it's a big deal. He says, I'll probably have to do something, which he's considering, obviously.
Bed and breakfast. Thad and Evelyn talked to Betty. You probably left it in the car. Thad. His name is Thad. There was no Thads in my neighborhood growing up.
No.
Thad?
Thaddeus? Is that short for Thaddeus, right?
Maybe. There was no Anderson Cooper. There was no Andersons, no Thads, no Biffs,
Biff.
no Muffies, Biff, no Todds.
No Todds?
Not in my neighborhood. There's none of those names.
What did you have?
What do you mean?
What names?
Mario.
You remember any colorful nicknames in your neighborhood?
Oh, I told you about Petey Boxcars, Patty Boxcars. I can't think offhand. We all had nicknames. Everybody had a nickname. But no, there was the mobby guys, but they were just regular names. Sal, Vito, Anthony, a lot of that. Joey.
But to like Muffy and Biff, they're not regular names. It's all your point of view, subjective.
Well, Muffy and Biff are only on the Upper East Side, I would assume, or in places like that, Newport, Rhode Island. There's not Muffy and Biffs in most places in the country.
Right.
Was there Muffy and Biffs in Mount Vernon?
No.
Okay. There's Sal's and Michael's and Joe's and,
yes,
Vito's, Mario's, what else? Anthony's, Louis. Names like that. Kathy and Nicole and what the fuck? Biff. Dad. Thaddeus. Very pretentious. Very pretentious name. If you name your kid Thaddeus, you want him to be a pretentious fucking prick. That's what you have in mind.
Maybe they do.
He's going to wear an ascot, Thaddeus, when he grows up. He's going to be a pretentious fucking frat boy bro, in my opinion.
Maybe. You're right. I think
you're getting me riled up.
Yeah.
You're getting me riled up.
Yeah, okay. Well, we know where that phone is. Vito stole it so he can make a phone call.
He calls Marie with Thad's phone. Listen, and she says, "Who's Thad?" Thinking it's a guy he's with. I'm sorry all this had to happen. I never meant to hurt you. Come back.
Very sad scene.
Just come back.
This is heartbreaking. And, Lizzie Bracco's great. I really like what she does with this character. And she's really going through the ringer here.
He says, trust Phil least of all. She thinks he's family. That's who you trust least of all. She tells him that. He says
there's church groups, there's psychiatric care. We can help you.
Well, that's a real thing, right?
There's conversion, which is, proven to be, complete fucking pseudo bullshit.
They try to
and evil, basically.
I need you, Vito. I need my husband. She's still willing to work this out. Yeah. She loves him. She says, "Tell me where you are. I'll come." He says, "You'll really like it here. Come. I'll come with the kids. I'll relocate." She's a good woman.
She would do it too.
She's a good woman, Marie. But he tells him, "Trust Phil the least of all." And we know what happens later on.
Yeah.
Bada bing. Tony's at the bar.
Very sad when the son gets on the phone to him, and the kid is really,
He's got to go. The kids are confused.
Hard.
It's very bad. Very bad. Tony sits at the bar. Julianna arrives. Good news, Jamba Juice up their offer.
Yeah, they've upped for like 15%, 175 to 225 per square foot, and they'll let you carry the note. So they'll give, the mortgage, he'll be able to hold the mortgage. He could save on his taxes and make some money on the interest. He doesn't want to sell. It's not just the money. America all looks the same with Old Navy, Bed Bath & Beyond. It's the North Ward. She's kind of onto him.
Oh, no, absolutely. She says, I have a boyfriend. I'm engaged. She's lying.
No, I think she's onto him in terms of him acting like he's all this defending the neighborhood shit, but she's kind of like, I bet if I find the right price, he's going to flip.
She's no dummy. She's very sharp, and she's got balls. She walks right into that club. She's very comfortable, which I guess we come to later, that she knows the other side of life. She's not just a prim and proper.
No, she's hardcore. She has.
Yeah.
She's lived.
And Tony says, "How'd you find me here?" She says, "I'm a real estate agent." What does that mean?
I
don't know what that means.
Maybe she knows that somehow he owns that place. Is that on paper?
I don't
his name be on the paper? No,
I would think not. He says, "I got shot. It makes me appreciate life. I'm married. I'm very attracted to you." And she says, "You're very persuasive. And in the past, I may have jumped. I think for once in my life, I'm going to exercise a little self-control." In the bar, Vito sends over a picture to Jim's table.
There's a song, "He Ain't Even Cold Yet" by Gretchen Wilson, which is a good one. Kind of.
She disappeared, didn't she?
Really?
Gretchen Wilson had a big... she, at one point, was a huge...
I don't know her.
Andy, find out. She had a huge number one hit. She exploded on the country western scene, and then, kind of see her around like you used to, unless maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But she had a really big song, and she was everywhere at one point. And he sends over a picture to be, I guess, they're all gay, right? Are these guys all gay? We're going to assume
all of them, but a couple of them are,
right? And Jim says he's a very funny guy. Got a great sense of humor, talking about Vito. We were practicing the dummy drag. He spent the whole time in the beaches staring. So Vito's was staring at the firemen, trying to fit in maybe. And they invite him over the table. He's got a great sense of humor. I didn't see that yet.
No, I didn't see his. He's not that funny. She won a Grammy for Redneck Woman.
Redneck Woman, big song.
I don't know that song. It's a good one.
Yeah, country song. It's good. She was everywhere. I don't know. For all I know, she still is. What the fuck do I know?
The guy mentions that Ima Sumac scream that one of them let out. Ima Sumac is a Peruvian singer, famous for her 4-octave range, so she could hit notes that like nobody, and supposedly descendant of Incan royalty, which is interesting.
Vito checks out Jim's motorcycle. I'm glad you decided to write your book in our little town.
Did you ever ride a motorcycle?
No.
No, me neither.
Nope, never want to. I can't, I don't know how to drive a stick shift.
No, neither do I.
I don't know how to drive a stick shift. Motorcycle's not for me.
Switching gears and stuff, you wouldn't. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm a bad driver as it is.
Bad passenger. Are you better passenger or worse driver or worse passenger? Because you're a bad passenger.
Yeah, I'm a really bad passenger. I think I'm
when you drive with Steve, so you're in the back. Steve and I drive together. We're in the back. There's a driver up front, if we're going somewhere in an Uber or airport or whatever. And he'll be like, "Can you what? We're not in a rush. Slow down. You put the seatbelt on. Hey. You're right. Guy gets a little quick. I picked you up in LA once and you were horrified. You were really, we were on the highway. You were not having a good time.
No, I'm not a good passenger. I think I might be a little better driver because I'm in control,
Right.
And I don't drive on the highway here in California. I just drive around my neighborhood.
Where the worst, I thought LA was bad. Florida, South Florida, the worst drivers, I think.
Really?
None of them use signals to change lanes. I guess it's optional down there for some reason. They're just horrendous.
Really?
You know, in Florida, it rains. When it rains, it's like for a while, it doesn't rain a ton, but when it rains, it's like you can't see. And some people don't want to slow down.
Yeah, they just go. That's like in Vegas, too. There's always a ton of accidents. It doesn't rain there hardly ever. And they just drive like it's fucking normal.
And what's the deal? Let me ask you this. What's the deal with pickup trucks? Like, it's always like pickup trucks that seem to like get really close behind you and want to pass you. Like in California, where I did most of my driving, 8 out of 10 times it would be that, you know, somebody
they tailgate.
The impatient people were in pickup trucks. Why is that?
I don't know. Out here in Orange County, you got these women, soccer moms, flying down the fucking street. Not the highway, flying.
Now we're going to hear from all the pickup truck owners and soccer moms.
They're going to motherfuck you up and down.
Yeah. Go right ahead. You're welcome to it. I really don't.
Get in line, motherfuckers.
I don't really care.
So Vito, Jim goes in to kiss Vito, and Vito kisses him and then shoves him away. Now, what do you make from that? What the fuck are you doing? Oh, what are you, some kind? You know?
He hasn't probably done it much. You know, he's lived. You know, we see him go to the gay bar, but it doesn't seem like he does that a lot. It seems like he's just started to.
So you think he did it, and then he's having second thoughts. He's not sure what the fuck is going on.
He's scared. He's not comfortable in his own skin yet.
But wait a minute. You're telling me Vito hasn't done it much, but he went out and bought a fucking leather cap and chaps?
I'm making the assumption that he finally listen. I think if he had been leading this double life for a long time, he would have been exposed a lot sooner. So I think it's kind of new that he's, taking these steps. You know what? He makes a decision. I'm going to go to a bar and I want to get dressed. That maybe he thinks this is what he. I don't know. You think he's been doing it for a long time and has had many relationships?
I don't know, but once you go out and buy the chaps and do all that, I mean, you could go to a gay bar, dress regular.
But that might have been the first time he ever went. Who knows?
It could be. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know. He feels guilty, I think. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing? I guess I made a mistake. Listen, Closet Queen, you can't handle it. Don't send out the signals. Now, Vito's been sending out signals. And saying,
well, the hand, that was a big one.
They start fighting. Jim beats Vito up, gives him a beating. Vito tries to pick up a pipe. I mean, you're not going to fuck with Jim. This is a man's man.
He's a tough guy.
He's gay, and he's a tough guy with big balls and a nice guy. Soprano kitchen. Carmela empties the dishwasher. Tony eats at the counter. AJ comes downstairs. These nights are going to be a habit with you, AJ. Don't you have work today? Look, I got to talk to you guys. I need new clothes. Everything I have is so old. So you could go out to the clubs with Fernando. That kid is a creep.
He's not a creep. He's my friend. Carmela chimes in. Well, he has a reading disability.
Now, where did that come from? That's one of the Soprano things that separate the show. Well, he has his mother, the PTA. He has a reading disability. Right. She also says you didn't notice. And Tony says what? The salami is 40% less fat and sodium.
She's mothering him, taking care of him. That's what
he gives her a kiss. Thank you. I'm lucky to have you.
And then AJ says, I'm not just partying, I'm learning, which is
complete bullshit.
Probably everybody thinks that when they go to clubs. I can run a club. He's like, I'm learning. You have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Because you should do event planning, go to the Culinary Institute. And he says, well, why don't you could work at Beansy's Pizza.
Which is what, that makes no sense either. No. So he wants to run a club, but you can work at a pizza parlor. Couldn't be more different.
No.
It's a service industry. So what? You learn how to talk to people. I mean, we know running a nightclub is next to impossible.
Yes.
You know that. Right?
It's very hard. You have to really know what you're doing. Or you're going to get fucked.
You're going to get fucked. They're going to steal from you. There's all kinds of litigation shit. And on
liability and stuff like that. Yeah.
Carmela said, maybe you should go to a culinary school and get back into event planning. He says, I don't even know what that is. This is the third or fourth episode. They're shoving this event planning down his throat. Would you like to be an event planner?
No.
They come to you, Michael. You say you have balloons.
I have no interest.
Do you want balloons? Do you want this? You want centerpieces?
But I mean, a good one is that's
very
important.
Helpful.
Of course.
Do you want what's your budget
I wouldn't want to do it,
entertainment?
but if I have a party, I like to work with someone who's a good one. Sure.
Arguing with AJ is no kind of aphrodisiac. But
he says Tony kind of caves. Maybe we should do this. She's like, he's not even 21 years old.
Yeah, maybe we could do something. He had said, you know all the people, private sanitation. You could help me out here. Many a father has invested in a nightclub for the son, nightclub, bar, restaurant, and that's gone fucking south.
South, of course.
Arguing AJ is no kind of aphrodisiac. Just when I was beginning to feel physically good again, but honestly, no one could blame a man for seeking an extracurricular outlet in a situation like this. He wants to get her approval, I think, about fucking around with Julianna.
Yeah, it's a very convoluted way of saying that, but yeah, he wants to do what he wants to do, which is what he's always done, right? He's had a little bit of a change of heart. He almost died. His wife nursed him back to health. He's feeling a new lease on life, and now he wants to take that into an affair, which is what he always did, which got him into where he was in the first place, which is, anxiety.
What Carmela did for me when I was hurt, the way she took care of me, nursed me back. You think I want to fucking betray that? It is impossible on some level. You blame her for AJ's problems. Carmela's a good mother. And I blame both of them for AJ's problems. I do blame Carmela. She babies the shit out of him, enables them.
She definitely does. Yeah.
He says AJ's like a bad smell in the house.
Bad smell, and she says, you and Carmela have to be in agreement, not undercut each other.
Well, that's the worst thing you could do, right? When you're trying to raise the kids.
Really bad.
Your wife says one thing, you say the other thing.
You can't do that.
That can't be done.
That's a no-go.
You got to back each other up or you just fucked here, AJ's room, Carmela arrives with the money. Here, go buy a suit to look nice for a job or college interview. This is not for fun. It's not to be used for any kind of personal entertainment. Thanks. What kind of suits are you going to buy?
Well, the next scene, we see him snorting coke or whatever it is. So obviously we know where that money's going. But in between, we see Vito sees Jim in the diner.
He's carrying a nice pizza.
He's carrying a pizza. Friday
nights, we used to have pizza every Friday night. Now you got that DeFaris pizza. You ever eat at that one?
No, you mentioned that one.
$5 a fucking slice? Get the fuck out of here.
I've never had that.
You better jerk me off. For $5, I need to get jerked off with the slice.
Well, now you might be asking for a little too much. I mean,
$7 and a jerk off? Get a hand job for $7 and a pizza?
I don't know where you're getting your hand jobs, Steve. They seem a little, I don't know. Maybe AJ, you know places that none of us do.
AJ snorts cocaine in the bathroom and then goes out to the table. Hernan introduces him to Fahad and Daryl. And they're starting a line of sports drinks.
Yeah, and they mentioned some Italian guy. He's connected up in Providence. It's all bull.
Maybe we could get a prospectus. AJ, absolutely. For your dad, you can ask them. Hernan is promoting AJ with the father.
Right. And it's all bullshit talk. They're all full of shit. Well, and the thing that gets him there says, for your dad. So, because they're saying, do you want to get a prospectus? And he's thinking for him, and it's for his dad. And that really, I think that's kind of the straw that's breaking the back here that sends AJ off to do.
Well, these guys are only talking to AJ because of his dad. That's
but I think now it really sinks in with him.
Yeah. Soprano bedroom, Carmela's reading a bed. AJ comes in. Hey, wake me up tomorrow, 10 o'clock.
He's high, and you could see it, and she sees it.
He probably doesn't fall, since he's coked up, he probably doesn't fall asleep until who knows what time.
Yeah, probably played video games or whatever.
Bed and breakfast. Vito eats breakfast with the group. They talk about covered bridges now.
Now, are you into
mundane
covered bridges? Covered bridges, why they covered them, so they'd last longer. Because an uncovered wooden bridge would last like 20 years. With the cover, the bridge could last like 100 years. That's why they did it. There was once 14,000 covered bridges in America. Now there's about 700.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Any in New York?
Mostly in the East Coast, like Northeast, yeah. I don't know if there might be some in upstate New York. The oldest one in the world is Kappelbrook in Switzerland. It's from the 1300s.
Wow. He has a motorcycle outside. It's really a mundane conversation. Small talk, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to I would shoot myself here. I can't sit there in the lobby and talk,
New York has 23 covered bridges.
23 covered bridges.
Yeah. Why don't we do a tour?
After this is over?
Yeah.
Podcast about covered bridges.
Why not?
And we do it from the covered bridge.
We do it from the covered bridge.
Like a road show.
Like a road show. We talk about that particular bridge, where it is. We eat there.
Eat on the bridge.
Like diners, drive-ins, and dives. We eat what's in the town. We talk to some local people why the bridge is important. What's it like in the town?
Let's do it. That's not a bad idea. People have been wanting us to go on past the podcast that's ending at the end of the year. Now we do a road show. But it's going to have to be on the road with Steve and Michael. I'm not taking second fucking banana. I'd let you do the shirts and the TV and this show.
I got the name for it. The Bridges of Baccala. That's the name.
And the book. I let you fucking have the book.
You're very generous. What can I say?
On the second printing, it's going to say Steve Schirripa and Michael Imperioli.
Well, that's if there's a second printing.
So what, are you going to sabotage it so there's no second?
Yeah, I'm going to sabotage it just for that. I'm going to miss out on...
Don't you think my name should come first?
Well, we talked about this. This is the alphabetical thing.
But on everything forever? I mean, anything we ever do together, you got to be first. Can't, like, there be one little thing like it was me?
Sure. All right. What's for the bridge show? Yeah, the Covered Bridges podcast. That sounds like a winner to me. I don't know.
We go to the small towns.
Listen, there's 750 left. We could do this for the next 15 years.
Go on the road. I think you're onto something, my friend. I think you're onto something. Carmela opens the blinds. I woke you up 2 hours ago like you asked. Now get up. It's 4 PM. AJ's on the couch watching TV. You are not even dressed.
Cartoon, just 4 PM. Yeah.
I got the
Again, here we are. The thing about manhood, adulthood. Here he is at noon watching cartoons. And then
AJ's hungover. AJ opens his dresser, takes clothes out. There's a knife. He sees a big knife he's got hidden there. He's thinking about revenge. He's depressed, hungover. You get depressed. You're high, low, right?
Serotonin levels go up when you use a drug or even alcohol. And then when you crash, they go lower than where they were normally. So you go as high as you go up as low as you come down.
I've been watching this show. You've heard of, I don't know if you've ever heard the show White Lotus.
No, what is
it?
It's
on HBO. It's very good. It's a big hit. It was a limited 6-episode series. It's from the guy Mike White who did School of Rock. And great cast. Steve Zahn, who you work with, Jennifer Coolidge, who I was married to on Secret Life, and Connie Britton. Some great people in it. And in the show, the guy is snorting ketamine. Is it ketamine?
Special K, yeah.
Now, what is that?
Well, it was an animal tranquilizer, or is a tranquilizer for animals that veterinarians use, but it would be, people use it recreationally to get high.
And is it like Coke? Where
no.
You're speeding?
No, I think it's more like, I've never done it, but I think it's more like you, not speeding, but spaced out. I don't know, kind of.
Wow. Yeah.
Heavy duty. Well, if it's a tranquilizer, I assume it's more like, narcotic, like
wow.
More like an opiate or something. I don't know. I've never seen
this guy was doing. I just wondered, what that even is. Orderly gives Junior his dinner. How come I don't get no mail? Maybe you need to write some letters, start a correspondence. Junior,
throw out my mail, he says.
Lying cocksucker.
Now, they don't throw out his mail. No one's writing it.
No one's writing to him. No one cares that he's in there. I mean, he alienated the family, everyone. He humiliated the mob family. And Carmela's didn't like him
even
from the beginning.
Bobby's done with him, too.
Doesn't see him. I think he goes to see him before it's all over. It's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in there.
Oh, yeah.
This is a wacky bunch. Now, when he sees AJ, does he think he's Tony?
Yeah.
He says, my nephew. He thinks he's Tony.
Yeah.
Right? AJ goes in. He drops the knife. I mean, he doesn't even... This is a fucking debacle.
Now, you know what it reminded me of? And especially because he brings up The Godfather and Michael. This reminded me... As he's thinking Michael Corleone, when he avenges... his father's death. Or what does he do? He avenges his brother's death, right? When he kills the cop.
Yeah. They killed Sonny.
It reminds me of Fredo, because remember when they shoot Brando at the fruit stand, Fredo takes out his gun and drops it.
Yeah.
So he's trying to be Michael, but he ends up being Fredo.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even get close. This is a mess here, He's in the police station. AJ is with the cops. He's just sitting there. I talked to Zellman. Zellman. Get him out of here.
So basically, the guy's trying to make himself, the kid's trying to make himself be a man, and his father's got to come and get him and pull strings to, help him out.
Cole
Still
Zellman,
under the influence.
Played by the great Peter Riegert, that we like so much.
And Tony grabs him and just says, "Don't you see what this could have been attempted murder if we didn't get, have connections to smooth it out."
This is a great, great, great scene.
Fantastic scene with the two of them. Both of them.
And
really
Robert
good.
Isla is such a good actor.
Maybe his best scene in the series. Actually.
It's a shame.
My favorite of his.
It's a shame that he's not acting anymore. That's his choice, but
I have a feeling he
so
will eventually.
Just so good.
Tony grabs him. This would have been attempted murder. And then AJ goes at him and says, well, you let him fucking get away with it. And he says, well, what did you do? You did nothing. You're a zero, big jerk off. He starts crying. He said, look, it's not in your nature. And then he says, like, Godfather, you love Godfather. You love when Michael Corleone, does this. And Tony, like, that really kind of, that gets to Tony and really surprises him when he's like.
Well, I think Tony thinks he's pathetic there. It's like, he says to him first, I guess your heart was in the right place, but it's wrong. Come on. It's not in your nature. You're not that guy. You either are these guys that could do something like that. To go in and stab a fucking guy is not an easy thing. Right? I mean, if it's self-defense, yes. But revenge-wise, I mean.
No, you got to be a cold-blooded,
all right?
hard
You're going to
guy.
go in there. You're going to kill his great-uncle. You don't know, he says, it's not in your nature. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. He says, come on, I'm very grateful. You're a good guy. He doesn't want him to be that guy. But then when he says, The Godfather, Michael Corleone, it's your favorite scene, he's like, I think he looks at him like he's pathetic. He says, you make me want to cry. Like, how fucking stupid are you? What? You know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's a movie.
Really gets to him, and it really surprised him. Yeah,
he says, exactly. You make me want to cry. It's a movie. You got to grow up. You're not a kid. I think at that point, Tony really thinks there's a problem there. Like, it's not just behavioral.
It's
like
not just impulsive kind of. There's something really disturbing about it to him.
It's like, what are you talking about? You went in there to try to kill this guy about the Godfather and I think that's how I look at it. It is
Jim was wonderful in this.
Wonderful scene, Then
he starts throwing up.
Says, make sure, your mother doesn't find out about this. Pork store, Tony sits outside. Julianna calls. I know you don't want to sell. I thought you should know Jamba Juice up there offer to $275 a square foot, $494,000.
And he carries a note at 7.5.
This was probably his father's. He probably paid next to nothing for this.
Oh, yeah. This has been probably in the family.
And Tony's not splitting with nobody. This is all Tony's money.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think, besides, this actually, it's a kind of a big increase. It's almost what is it? Almost another 15% increase, but even more. No, it's like almost 50%. But do you think something what just transpired with AJ influenced him in this decision?
Why? Why? I don't see why that would.
Because it comes right after the scene. That's what I'm saying. Is there something in his... Does he think maybe he could use this money to help his son? I don't know, Maybe.
That's a possibility. I also thought on some level, believe it or not, this is going to help him sleep with her. I mean, I know it's a lot of money and all that, but I also thought kind of, when he says, hey, why don't we sign she says, come to my office. He goes, let's go to your apartment.
And she agrees.
So I don't know, and he looks across the street, though. Did you notice the old lady is across the street, and he knows that this neighborhood's changing, and she won't be around people like her much longer. And I think that's also...
So what's he hanging on to?
Exactly. I think that was a big thing. Diner, Vito arrives. Can I get an order of Johnny cake, short stack of tall? Grabs Jim's hand. Sometimes you tell a lie so long you don't know when to stop. You don't know when it's safe. So Vito is coming clean here.
Apologizes, yeah.
Apologizes. He comes clean. Tony gets dressed. Carmela brings him a shirt. Where you going tonight? You're my handsome man. She's helping him button the shirt, the canale. And she irons it for him.
And he's already feeling guilty because he knows where he's going. And he's looking in her eyes, and she's looking at him with so much love and patience and kindness, and he's feeling conflicted about...
what a scumbag I am.
Yeah.
But he's done it before.
He's done it many times, so he's going anyway. Right.
Vito and Jim ride motorcycles.
Yeah, it's a very idyllic. They're on the motorcycles. They're out in nature. They're by the...
I'm surprised they're not running through a poppy field holding hands.
They're almost doing that. I mean, It's like...
Slow motion?
It's as different as can be towards the life that he left.
Yeah. They lie down. They're kissing. They're by the pond. Vito, in his mind, is saying, hey, maybe I could do this.
Yeah.
Maybe I could hide up here.
Maybe I can be happy.
Yeah. AJ parties with his friends. He doesn't look so good.
And they're harping, can your father send someone to help me? It's again, he's under the shadow.
Drew. Now, this kid that plays Drew, I don't know, give me his name, Andy. He was very good in Gran Torino, which is a great movie, Clint Eastwood movie. Clint Eastwood directed and starred in it. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I heard it's good, though.
You should see that movie.
Yeah.
Then not every movie's got to be an art house thing. You could watch regular movies.
I was just talking about somebody up there likes me. That's not a regular movie. That's
Nobody would think less of you if you just watched.
You just completely ignored what I just said.
That's an old movie. But Gran Torino is a good, solid movie.
I'm not that crazy about Clint Eastwood.
Acting or just what? The whole thing?
Acting.
Personal life?
No. I don't care about his personal life. Acting. He's never done it for me. Okay. I like the one, what was the one where he was in jail? The Escape from Alcatraz? I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry, I hated that movie. That shit.
Unforgiven? Okay.
He's kind of boring, I find, as an actor.
Okay. But Gran Torino's a really good movie.
Done a lot of good movies, but I find...
This guy, Drew, I don't know his real name. Andy will get it for me. But he played a priest. And he had a lot of scenes with Clint, and he was very, very, very good. This kid that played Drew. He's 45 years old now. Gran Torino was a little while ago, but he was really good in that movie. AJ's fucked up. He's sweating. It looks like he's having a panic attack. All right? Tension is building Julianna's apartment. She says it's called the Ben Franklin close. You put the pen on the dotted line, so to speak. He brings champagne.
It's kind of a psychological move.
Yeah,
Do you know any of those kind of things? Like when you were making deals in Vegas and stuff, do you have kind of psychological psych out moves?
I just tell it like it is. That has worked for me in my life. That's what's worked for me. Just to be honest. No bullshit, and to be honest. And you know, his name is Christopher Carley. He's very good.
That's brought you peace of mind and, you know, kind of content.
Yeah, no lies, no tricks. Listen, this is it. This is what I got. You know, I remember even when I had the pasta sauce and we went to this big guy that sold these big, wonderful stores. And I asked the guy if he was married. He said no. And I said, well, I'm telling you this. You fucking get a date, you cook the pasta, I promise you're going to get laid. I promise you that's how good the sauce is. And I was dead serious. You know, I told this guy and it worked.
Yeah, that's a big promise.
Yeah. And he put it all in the stores. Now, I mean, for me.
Did he do it? Did he get married or laid?
I don't know. I assume he did, but he bought the thing. My point is.
You assume he did?
Yeah.
He made the sauce?
I think that if he invited a young lady over the house and made her dinner with my sauce, it would close the deal.
Wow.
You had the sauce. Was it great?
Sauce was good. For a sauce in a jar,
organic.
You know, it didn't. You know, a lot of those sauces in jars, they're it's very acidic.
This was great.
This tasted like homemade. It was good.
I mean, what's worked for me, even when I've sold shows. Listen, if you don't want to buy it, I understand. I don't want to be jerked around. That's worked for me. No tricks. No psychological sales.
You only want to be jerked around if you're getting a slice of pizza with it.
Slice of pizza for $8, $7.
Yeah,
I don't use those. So. I know those are sales kind of things. I can't. I don't know if I would be a good salesman because I have to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so I would not be a good salesman.
The only time I lie is to not hurt someone's feelings.
Well, that's good.
That's the only time.
That's a really good reason to lie.
That's the only reason. I'm not kidding you. I don't lie for any other reason. You know, like if somebody sends you a script or, hey, how was it? Hey, you know, it needs a little work, but it's really good. You know, what are you going to say? It sucks. You suck. And you shouldn't be doing this. I'm not going to bust somebody.
Well, you know what I do now? I just say, because people send me stuff often.
Yeah, me too.
And I just say, what do you want me to address? Do you want it? You want notes to do another draft? Do you just want, you know? And if they do, I'll say, you know, this needs to change. You know, I mean, I don't really like blowing smoke, you know, because I
don't like blowing smoke, but I also have a friend of mine, a good friend, two people. One sent me a script. It was horrendous, and I told him, and he got very annoyed. And then another guy.
But what did he want from you?
He wanted to see what I thought of it. And I said, well, what the fuck do I know?
No, but he didn't want to see what you thought. He wanted you to like it. He didn't just want your thoughts, because if that was true, he'd take it either way. He wanted you to like it.
You know, another thing that people don't understand, you know, they send you a script, they send me a script. I can't get a movie made. I mean nothing on the scale of things. And there's probably 10 people that can get a movie made.
Not a lot, yeah.
Not many people. You know, there's someone, big star, Emma Stone, Jennifer Lawrence, I don't know, maybe George Clooney says, I want to make this movie.
Well, there's actors who can get independent financing, too, who are not that big of a star, TV stars and stuff.
But very difficult. So when they want to send you a script, hey, man, there's nothing I could do. Me being in it doesn't mean anything. You know, I mean, you want my opinion, I'll read it, but you're not going to like my opinion if I don't like it. It's very difficult to write a really good script. You know that.
Yeah. And I try to say that, too, before I read it. I said, you know, like, if you really want my opinion, if you really want me to read it to look at opinion, then, you know, I'm going to be honest with you.
Kind of now, I really don't. I kind of, unless it's really somebody close, I don't read it. You know what I mean?
Do you pretend to read it, or you say I don't have time?
No, I just say, listen, man, It's not my thing. Whatever the fuck. I'm busy, which I am. Takes a long time to read a script. It's going to take a few hours.
Yeah.
And who am I to say what's good or not good? What do I know?
Well, yeah. Some people are hoping you'll give it to somebody who can get it made or whatever.
Yeah. You know how that goes. I mean, those are, like hitting the lottery,
Not
like
easy.
that you pass it on. Like, I get it. This is fantastic. And I give it to someone, Julianna, Tony arrives. He's got a champagne. We're celebrating, aren't we? She, as soon as they sign, you feel the tension building.
Oh, it's a great scene, the signing. Sign here, initial here. I mean, I've never seen or would imagine so much sexual tension in the signing of a document.
She's
great.
building. She's
very
building.
inventive. Both of them are great. She's wonderful. You feel the tension ratcheting up while there's the simple act of signing a contract. It's really cool.
Tony's all over her. She's like Carmela at the beginning. He's on top of her.
And then she's unbuttoning the shirt that his wife a few hours ago did, and he's reminded.
And he's nasty about it.
He throws her off.
He throws her. He snaps. Stop it. Just stop. She doesn't know. She downs the champagne.
She downs the champagne and she's sober. We know that's a big step.
We don't know she's sober until later.
We don't know. But do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think if it was just some stripper at the Bing, a young girl who wasn't as much of a challenge to him, either intellectually or business-wise or something like that, would have been easier for him to have sex with her?
Yeah, but I think he could do that whenever he wants. I don't think he wants to do that. Like you saw when she came in earlier, there was that blonde that was throwing him kisses and all that, and he was smiling. I don't think he's interested.
This is much more exciting to him.
Yeah, I don't think he's. This is a beautiful businesswoman.
Very smart, really interesting.
I don't think he's interested. If he's gonna fuck around and step out at this stage, I think he wants someone like that. He did Irina. He did, Svetlana. He did Gloria. All right?
Gloria was a little different.
Yeah, but he did the Valentina.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a different level. This is a different, real estate agent, has her own money, just bought her own condo. I think he could get any of those strippers, like Artie said in the episode before. You could fuck anyone, anytime.
Yeah, it's not a challenge.
He's the boss. AJ, club bathroom, puts water on his face. He passes out. He does a great job at this. His eyes kind of cross like his father, Tony.
Like his father in that respect, but not as the ruthless,
Absolutely.
violence, tough guy and killer.
We've seen AJ with panic attacks before. Guy comes in, I'm a doctor. Do you want me to call an ambulance? My heart is beating so fast. He said, did you take anything? Cocaine, amphetamines? He says, no. Do you think he took anything? We didn't see him.
He was doing coke a different day, maybe not. So basically he's saying...
It is a panic attack.
Yeah.
Has anything ever happened to you before? Do you have a history of panic attacks? Soprano house. Carmela lies in bed. Tony arrives. What's it take to... And now, why is Tony angry? What's it take to get some fucking smoked turkey in this house? I bust my ass all day. And Carmela, just like the old days, comes right back at him. What the fuck is your problem?
I think there's a couple of things here. I think there's frustration that he didn't have sex with her, with Julianna. Kind of the guilt that he was going to, Do
you think in a way he's taking it out on her?
Yeah.
He's taking it out on her because he didn't have sex with her.
Yeah.
Taking it out on Carmela because he didn't have sex with her.
Yeah.
Kind of like, look what you made me do. Can I get some fucking turkey? Blah, blah, blah.
Right. And your job is to keep the household running the way we like, and you're not doing that,
And I think it's also, okay, he's feeling better. Back to the old grind. Not appreciating it like he once did.
Back to the old grind, yeah. And you cut from him talking about smoked turkey to the poultry place. Chicken, from turkey to chicken.
Did you hear goddamn juice place moving in here? Juice, Jamba Juice. Your boss went and sold the building. He sold the building. I got a kid in college. He grabs his eggs. Very ironic, once again.
What the fuck is happening to this neighborhood? Ray Charles, I'm going to move to the outskirts of town.
What the fuck is happening to this neighborhood where you can't even shake down a fucking store owner?
You can't even do it on a shakedown. But the song, also refers a little bit to transitioning of the old neighborhood, I guess gentrification, and also comparing Dartford, New Hampshire is a bit more kind of like the old world in a way, but there doesn't seem they're interested in that kind of thing over there. They're more just keeping things kinder, simpler time, it seems.
Have you ever, when you owned the bar, did anyone try to shake you down?
No.
No? Nobody came by? Wise guy?
Fake guy, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Fake wise guy.
And what you tell him? Go fuck yourself?
I think Jim caught him there once or something. He told the kick threw the guy out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, some guy who was, I don't know.
It still goes on, unfortunately, and goes on with other nationalities also.
Oh, yeah.
They shake down their own. That's what the mob, when they always go, it's harmless. That's why everyone makes a big joke of the mob. All this shit. It's not a joke. They hurt people, not just each other. They hurt regular people. They don't just hurt each other.
And very often it's vulnerable people,
It's people they've known for a long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes close to them, sometimes family members,
Right.
Now it's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question is Barbara from Los Angeles, California. And we're sending Barbara a pair of Bose headphones. Do you think it's Barbara Streisand? Does she listen to the podcast?
She lives in Los Angeles.
Does she listen to this podcast?
Well, let me read the question. I'll try to see maybe we can, read into it. Yo. So very great. Now, I don't think it's Barbara Streisand.
She doesn't say yo.
I don't know. Yo. So very grateful for your podcast. Thanks to both of you. My question is regarding Carmela. For me, Edie Falco's brilliant performance throughout the show creates the most and maybe the only conflicted character of the series. She's very lonely, so very lonely, manipulative, and powerless all at the same time. Her flirtations with Joe Penny, Furio, the priest, and more, she's stuck with her empty wealth, and it's underlying constantly for me. What do you think? Good point. I mean, you've talked about this a lot.
Yes. I almost don't know if I like Carmela.
And maybe she's not that conflicted because she doesn't really leave. I mean, she throws him out, but for different reasons. She throws him out because he's cheating, not because he's a mobster.
She always knew he was a mobster. She knew his family were mobsters. She went along with it from day one. She talked about it that he bought her father a $200, whatever it was.
Power drill or something.
So she always liked that lifestyle. She likes the jewelry. She wears a ton of jewelry. She's always got new outfits.
The hairdos.
She's never not dressed. She's never not dressed up. It's kind of like
she likes the influence and power, lording it over the other women. That she's the wife of the boss.
Sure,
she has more money than most of them.
Sure.
She has more connections and power than most of them, which she likes to be in that position.
She likes entertaining the parties. The religious shit is, to me, bullshit with her because she's on one hand praying, but then on the other hand, she's reaping the rewards of murder and
suffering,
robbery and all this other stuff. So I question if Carmela is a good person. I question that, and I think she questions herself throughout the series. And the flirtation with the priest, and listen, things happen she couldn't control. I mean, Furio treated her nicely.
But it was because she felt neglected by her husband, who she loves and always has. But he was he was knee deep in these affairs. I mean, he was in love with Gloria, and he spent a lot of time with these women.
But but a lot of the wives, like even Marie says, I know Vito had a gumana. I mean, it's like part of their thing.
But Carmela's not okay with it. I mean, maybe Marie's just kind of, chalks it up to that's the way it is. But Carmela doesn't. She doesn't. He even says, you knew the deal. You knew Dickie Moltisanti. She's like, deal? What? She's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, but she also kind of shook him down when they got back together, buy that piece of property for $600,000.
But she's trying to find her sense. She's trying to keep her dignity because she's been shit on.
But trying to,
an awful lot.
You could move back in. I mean, she loves the new car. She loves the new bracelet. She loves the fur coat. Very materialistic.
I mean, the guy that psychiatrist played by Sully Boyer really called it like it is and said you should take your kids and get
out now, run now. But the material shit meant too much to her.
Meant too much. Yeah. It's so like I said, I don't know how conflicted she actually is in a way. She's.
Well, I think at times she was.
At times, but not a ton.
But then, like when he was in the hospital, she says, watch out for those guys, especially Vito. It's almost like
No, but I don't think she's conflicted with feeling guilty. You know what I mean?
No.
With the guilty with the reaping the benefits of this lifestyle.
Well, she likes that, but then also with the religion, especially early on. It's changed as the seasons went on. But at the beginning, she was very conflicted. That's why she went to
her father, Boyer. Phil, and Sully Boyer. Yeah.
It's a good question, Barbara. Miss Streisand, I love all your... No, it's not Barbara Streisand.
It could be. Who knows?
Barbara from Los Angeles. It's a great question. Thank you.
Now, are we really going to do this chicken and egg contest? Or
Sure.
No.
Tell us why. Which came first, the chicken or the egg, with a good explanation? And what are we going to do? We're going to give them a shout out.
We'll give them a shout out. That's not the greatest prize in the world, but listen.
Okay. And Barbara,
we're running low on Bose headphones, so we gotta make them last to the end of the episode.
Barbara, enjoy your Bose headphones, and thanks for listening. And remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook. Look, 13 episodes left.
Is that it?
Get your Talking Sopranos merchandise on TalkingSopranos.com to our YouTube channel. I think it's 13 left.
Wow.
I believe so. This is it.
It feels like only yesterday, right, when we started?
No. It feels like 1995.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Our producer is Andy Verderam. Andy the Brain Verderam. Because he can answer any question. We should have a Andy the Brain episode. We just ask him the most random stuff the whole episode and see if we could stump him.
Well, he's been dying to get on.
Since
he did that fucking little Sunday ad. And we were dying to get back on.
We were trying to schedule this week's episode, and I said, "Well, Steve's not available on Monday." He goes, "But I am."
I know. He figures he could slip right into the fucking...
I said, let's see. Okay. All right. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links at TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam, Sierra Schirripa. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
All right, my friend. I'll see you soon.
See you later.